Okie dokie, okie dokie. Let's see. There we go. There's our comment box. Are we live on YouTube? Could we be live on YouTube? Oh, it looks like we are. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oops, I got to save this. Save this. Let's see if we're on YouTube. Ooh, that's bright. We don't need all that. Let's see. It looks like we might be. Could it be? Could it be? Oh, hey, Chris, what's going on, buddy? Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold it. Hey, let me know if you can hear me okay, okay? That would be cool. If you could let me know if you can hear me. Let me just move my stuff around my screen here. Hey, Santiago, what's going on? How are you? Let me move this over here. Let me close a couple of my windows here. Working on this little tiny laptop. Sometimes it's a drag. Let me open this up a little. Hey guys, can you hear me okay? Let me know how the audio is. I know there's going to be a little bit of a delay. We can hear you. Okay, how does it sound? Does it sound okay? Loud and clear? Let me know that. I gotta... Okay now, awesome. What's going on with this thing? Hold on, there we go. That should be better. We can hear you, excellent. That's great. Hey James, what's going on? Mixing with Paulie, how are you? Let me, maybe I could, ooh, I don't want to pull the wires out of the computer here. Hold on. Or maybe I'll move up like this. Ooh. Gotta be careful I don't rip all the wires out of the computer. Sounds great. Okay, awesome, man. How are you all guys doing? We're doing another impromptu live stream. I got some gear to show you today. Oh, I'm live on YouTube. Excellent. Again, I'm going with the same thing that we've done the last couple of times that we've gotten together. We're not scheduling them or nothing, because when I schedule them, nobody ever shows up. When I don't schedule them, all you guys show up. Maybe it's just a nice surprise. So everybody kind of shows up and we kind of hang out for a bit and talk. So I hope you're all doing well. Happy Easter weekend if you celebrate Easter. And if you don't, happy weekend anyway. Hope you're all doing well. What do we have here? What do we have here? We have Christopher's here. Hey, Christopher. Hey, Bruce. How you doing? Robert Miller's here. Hey, Robert. Santiago's here. Awesome. Slight audio delay. Yeah, that could just be YouTube or it could be your internet thing. That could happen. It could be a buffering kind of a thing. That could happen. Audio is good. Awesome. We can hear you great. Oh, it's okay now, Chris? Awesome. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, that could just be an internet thing. You're streaming up to YouTube and maybe, you know, depending on the internet connection that you have and I have. Is this actually live? Of course it is actually live. It's a live, see, it's a surprise live stream. I don't schedule live streams anymore on this channel because, as I said a second ago, when I used to schedule them, nobody would come. So I decided one time I'm just gonna, when I have time in my schedule or I get an hour or two as a break or I feel like taking a break or just feel like chatting with you guys, I just get on here and let's see what happens. And what ends up happening is a lot of yous would show up, which is really cool. So I figured I would just do that again today. We did one a couple of weeks ago. Looks like every couple of weeks seems to be the pattern with me. Seems to be, James says, yes, it's great. Okay, Santiago says, good, sounds great. Nice. Pop-up stream, yeah. Nice pop-up stream, right? So, I figured I'd just get on here and talk and chat. Like I said, I was gonna shoot a video for this, and I probably will anyway, just so I have videos coming out every week for you guys here. But I got a few new pieces of gear. And the other reason why I wanted to jump on live today was because I posted a video yesterday, which maybe a lot of you seen. It's got a ton of responses already about the SSL Fusion. And everybody started chiming in and we got like 4,000 views in less than 24 hours, which is great for our channel here, which is great. And I'm so grateful that you guys were responded well to that video. And there's a bunch of comments and I've gone through all the comments, at least as of this morning, and I answered them all. And there's probably a lot more that just came in the last 4 or 5 hours that I haven't responded to yet, but I will. And so you guys are You guys are all have opinions on the SSL Fusion and whether I should keep it or whether I should sell it. And most of you, at least as of the comments thus far, have said, yeah, you should sell it and you should get some other stuff. And I got some of that other stuff right over here that I'm going to show you guys in a bit. So that's what we're going to do. And then again, take questions or whatever. So again, if you are, well, you must be subscribed to the channel if you got this notification. And I've been saying, lately in all the videos, and actually it's really worked well, which again, I appreciate. A lot of people don't realize, and a few people had said this in the comments, they don't realize like 70% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed to our channel. And so I say, hey, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, especially if you're watching the videos, because it really does help. And a lot of yous over the last 24 hours said, oh yes, I subscribed. I've been watching you for a year. And Dave, I didn't even realize I wasn't subscribed, which is okay. That's why I'm asking. So if you're not subscribed, but all of you must be, or you wouldn't have gotten this notification that I came on the live stream. But for people watching the replay, again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It really does help. And where it really helps is not so much, the number of subscribers is important when, especially as I'm trying to reach out and talk to more gear companies about bringing gear in to do some reviews for you guys and give you guys some comparisons and such. And some of that we're going to talk about today. The number one thing that they look at is, well, how big's your channel? How many people are actually watching your videos? Is it worth us even talking to you, Uncle Dave? And we're not a really big channel here. We only have about, I think we just broke 7,000 subscribers yesterday, which is great for a channel that's only been around a little over a year or so. But what's really good about our channel, about our community, guys, is that even though we have a small subgroup, we have a very high engagement rate in the videos. And when you look at the ratio between how many subscribers do you have versus how much watch time do you have and how many views get on your videos, and more importantly, how many comments are made on each video, we have a really high ratio, which is great. So the more subs we have, if that engagement and that interaction from all our new subscribers, follow kind of the same suit as we've been doing so far, that allows me, when I'm talking to companies, to say, hey man, we got a bunch of subscribers that really may want to check out your gear, and let's do a review. Let's work on something together. So anyway, moral of the story, if you're not subscribed and you're watching the replay of this live stream, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help, and I do appreciate it. Hey Juan, how you doing, bud? Demo Beats, hey, what's going on? So that's really, it's really helpful. So, hey Juan, what's going on, my friend? Good to see you. So yeah, so if you did not watch the SSL master bus problem video I posted yesterday, after the stream, go watch it. It's pretty interesting. Where I was telling you guys about, hey, whether I should sell my SSL Fusion because I have another master bus chain that I've been working with and I've been really liking it, and it makes the Fusion kind of redundant. So I'm like, well, do I really need to keep this box? I can maybe sell this and take that money and get something that I can really use, or something that would be, more, not redundant, something that I don't already have, which I thought might be kind of cool. And so a lot of you guys have watched that video. You've responded to that video. We have, I think there's already 10 weeks worth of videos already shot for this channel that are already scheduled to come out every Friday. So all the videos you guys have been asking for, most of them right now, I'm almost caught up or done. They're coming out over the next 2 months. So one for the Empress EQ, the review on that goes live, I think, in 2 weeks. The SPL Big, there's a review on that, already done. The Trident 80B EQs, there's a review on that. That is gonna go live soon. There is, I think, another Inside the Mix episode that will be going live probably in a month or so. Oh, there's a 2-year updated review video on the SSL Origin. I did one at about 6 months, and we're just about 2 years. Can you believe it? It's been almost 2 years since I've installed this console. Well, since I purchased it, which was June of 2021. So we're almost coming up on 2 years. So I did kind of an 18-month, 2-year review, talking about the console and how it's held up and what I've learned. All that video's been done. Let's see, what other videos are out there that have been done? I think that might be it. There's a few more pieces of gear in the rack I have to do reviews on. Oh, we also I just did a two-part video series, but you won't see this for at least a month, where this will be really interesting. I think you guys will like this. You guys have been asking me to do these things over the last year. So again, I got a laundry list and I'm going through it. I did a video where we took a session, 30 tracks or 31 tracks, and from a client, and we put those up in Studio One. Then what I did is I took those tracks, I ran them through the console. I did not put any EQ, compression, master bus processing, anything. We were just running them through the preamp only, just through the preamp. And then I printed all those 32 tracks back into Studio One so we can compare the sound of just the SSL preamp in the desk. You know, the SSL, the channel strip, the fader circuitry, all of that, although the EQs, the high pass filter, all that stuff is completely flat, so there's no added, stuff there. But the video point of that video was, what do the tracks sound like if you just run it through the SSL preamp and print it back in? How does that sound compare to just the tracks prior to going through the SSL? I was able to rig it up in Studio One so we can just A/B it, A/B it, A/B it. So that video's been done. And then I did a follow-up video, and I'm gonna get to your questions, don't worry. Have questions for me. Because I knew people were gonna say at the end of that first video, okay, this is what it sounds like before the SSL preamp, this is what it sounds like after the SSL preamp. But what about, Uncle Dave? What happens if we just put an SSL channel strip plugin on those tracks and just use the preamp of the plugin? No dynamics, no EQ, no nothing. And then compare the audio of the tracks with the SSL channel strip preamp versus the SSL console origin preamp. Did that video as well. So those two videos are coming as well. And then I got some more of those kinds of testing things I want to do where we're going to compare the SSL, because a lot of you's asked me to compare the origin EQ both to the SSL EQ plugins. And some of you have asked me to compare it to the 500 series EQ, which I don't have. But I might be able to borrow one from someone I know that has one. I think they're gonna be identical, the 500 series EQ versus the Origin EQ. My guess is those would be the same, but we're gonna compare them to the plugins as well. So we're gonna do those. We're gonna do videos on, I have the, which I've had for a long time, the Audioscape LA3A, the VA3A 500 series. We haven't done a review on that. That's gonna come, and then we'll compare that to plugins. And then a lot of you have asked me to do videos comparing, and we've done a few, but not all the Audioscape gear, where we've compared the Audioscape gear to the plugin. We've compared the Audioscape gear to other hardware. We've compared the four 1176s of Audioscape together, but we haven't compared like their Audioscape Pultec. We haven't compared the VA3A. We have not compared the 260 VU, which is the DBX 160, to a plugin. So I got all those on the list as well. Plus whatever else you guys ask me for, I just tally them up. When you guys write me an email or put it in the comments as I read through the comment sections of the videos, I just jot down those ideas if it's something that I can pull off and it's on a list. So anyhow, let's see, who else is coming in tonight? Let's see, love your videos and the setup is spectacular. Keep up the great content. Thank you, man, I really do appreciate that. That's really, really nice. What's it say? Logi K-Bombs. Hey, I like what you did there with the yellow frame. Oh, cool. Keeps me in focus on the screen even though I should be mixing right now. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's just a little border. I'm doing, again, last time we talked, I was doing a live stream test, and I'm kind of doing a live stream test again. 2 days this week, I had to spend 2 days of this past week, I've had to spend ripping down the whole live stream setup. I was having some problems with some intermittent ground loop noise and all kinds of problems. I had to switch out some gear again, but now I think I got it licked. I simplified things a little bit, and I'm working through that today, and I got most of it. That's why I was asking if the audio's good. I'm running all my live streaming now off my laptop, my MacBook, as opposed to the iMac that I used to have back there. It's not there anymore. The computer's gone. And I also changed out the way we're going to be able to use audio from the console and both from you know, my voice and stuff and such. So I spent 2 days ripping apart the studio, the videos thing, running wires, rerunning wires, cleaning up and doing tons of cable management. And I got rid of the noise problems, and I was able to eliminate like 5 pieces of equipment in the live stream setup. I bought 1 new piece of equipment that eliminated 5 others and the computer. So that worked out really well. So it's an ongoing battle, man. It really is. The video production side of things is where it's always a challenge, especially when you do all this stuff yourself. But little by little, we get it going. And yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. That's kind of what we're doing. How many people we got here? Let's see here. How many people? We got 27 people here. Is that really true? Let me take a look at YouTube here and let's see what YouTube says. And then, yeah, if you guys, I want to show you some gear here. We'll wait a few more minutes. I want to pop some more gear. Oh, we got 30 watching. Wonderful. All right, let me just pop this up and turn off. Hold on. Turn off the volume there, just to make sure that the stream is still going to continue to work. Hopefully it will. Make sure we're streaming in 1440. That'll be pretty cool. So yeah, so that's what's going on over here. What's going on with you guys? You guys making any new projects, any new gear, any new things going on in your studio? Let me know what's happening in your studio. That'd be interesting to know. So as I said in the Fusion video that I posted yesterday, my thought was, what if I sold the Fusion? I mean, it's still on the rack. I haven't even unplugged it or disconnected it yet. Oh, we got some stuff here. Let's see. Oh, let me shrink that comment up. Lex Adon 10. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Dave, just curious. What do you use the NG bus compressor on so it didn't make it on your 2 bus? I've been using that on my drum bus pretty much ever since I've gotten it. There's been a couple of times where I've tried a couple of other compressors and I always find myself going back to the NG bus on drums. It is a fantastic master bus compressor though, I will say. It absolutely is. But I use the SSL bus compressor in the console, which I really like. Now, the NG bus compressor, for people that don't know, is really the VCA. It's based on the SSL G series design. It's stereo, but there's a lot of other features in that compressor. That is probably, I think someone asked me maybe in our last live stream together, someone asked me what was my favorite compressor. I gotta think that's one of them. Because it's so unbelievably versatile and it has so many more additional features that isn't in the original SSL bus compressor. One is they have the transformer circuit in there, which is a variable transformer circuit. They call it the iron circuit, so you can hit more or less hard the transformers, or you can take it completely out, which is really cool. Then aside from that, they have the total harmonic distortion circuit, which is on all the Wes Audio gear, but on this particular compressor, it has a variable total harmonic distortion circuit, which is really, really cool. And it just sounds great. So that's what I use it on. When people ask me about a stereo bus compressor for, you know, their first piece of gear, I often recommend that because it is so incredibly versatile. It can be very subtle and just glue things together really nice, and it can be super gnarly and nasty and aggressive if you want it to be. So yeah, that's what I use it on most. So yeah, that's what I'm using it on. Hey Ricky, how you doing? Good to see you. Juan says, let's see, just curious, will you ever give away any hardware for a mixing challenge? Probably not. Not unless a company gives me something to give away. I'm not going to give away my gear. I mean, a couple of people asked me to give away the Fusion. It's like, you know, would you guys give away your gear for free? You know, again, and this is another reason. It's a good question, Juan. There's another reason why the larger of a channel this becomes, the more subscribers we have. I will then have that opportunity to ask a company like, hey, man, maybe we do a mixing contest challenge on the channel, and will you give away a piece of gear? Now, the only way a company is going to do that is if that video or those series of videos or the channel has lots and lots and lots of subscribers looking at their product. That's the only way they do it. They're not, you know, this is why some of the larger YouTube channels that we all know and love and watch, they're always giving away stuff because companies are shipping boxes of stuff to their studio because they know they're going to get tens of thousands of views on them in just a few days' time. Unfortunately, Mixing Music Analog is not that large of a channel yet. As I said, we have a highly engaged community for a channel that's only been around a short amount of time. And that's why I'm now pleading, you know, in all the videos, that if for the 70% that watch the videos that are not subscribed, please subscribe, because that is the only way that I'll ever be able to do stuff like that. And believe me, I would love to do that, man. You have no idea how much I would love to give away stuff to you guys. I would. I really would. If a company gives me a piece of gear as a giveaway, I would absolutely do it. But a company's not willing to do that for me yet. Anything that I get, for the most part, with the exception of some of the Audioscape stuff that I needed for my studio, I pay for everything out of my own pocket. And so, yeah, but I would love to do it. So it really depends on the channel, how large the channel gets, and how engaging the subscribers are. That's really what it comes down to. But it's a good question, and I would love to do it. I'd love to do, you know, a mixing challenge or something. You know, we have our mixingmadeeasy.net membership, but something that's more for this channel, I'd like to do that. If I could get some gear, I would love to do it. Hey, Bobby, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Let's see, Ricky asks, hey, Ricky, how are you? What about a low price 500 series rack? Would you recommend? I'm on a low budget. Low price, again, I don't know about all the low price stuff, but API, the lunch boxes are really good. I don't know if it depends, you want like a 10 slot maybe. APIs are good. I don't know much about the Midas. I've heard conflicting, you know, quality issues around those. See, here's the thing about 500 racks that you just got to be aware of, Ricky, and you may have no problem, but here is my experience in some of the, you know, some of the people that I talked to, like over at Sweetwater, because when I first got into 500 gear, I asked the question, I said, what, if you're looking at a 10-space chassis, right? What's the difference between a $500 10-space chassis, which I believe there are some on the market, and then a 10-space chassis that's $1,000? They both only hold 10 slots in them. What's the difference? Most of them have the same kind of connectors on the back. Some of them you can internally link two channels together, so you don't need to use cables, but that's a real tiny feature. And what they told me was the more expensive ones, depending on the modules that you're going to put into these things, if you have modules that require a heavy power workload, or if you have modules that have a lot of, you know, transformers and those kinds of things, some of the more inexpensive chassis could get noisy, and you can have some problems with noise. And so they had recommended at the time that I kind of stuck with either like the Neve stuff, or what I use is Wes Audio, which is again in the price bracket of the Neve stuff. They're about a 10 space is about $1,000. But that doesn't mean you couldn't get away with that. Maybe Radial is another company that you can look at. Again, click the link in the description box here and go out to my Sweetwater link there if you would. Again, it's an affiliate link, so thank you in advance if you shop at Sweetwater. And check out API, Radial. Again, I've heard of Midas, but I haven't heard a lot of great things about them, so I would caution you on that. But I've had lots of Radial gear in the past, and it's always been spectacular. API always makes good stuff. So that's what I would suggest. And then you give it a try. And again, Ricky, if you buy it from a place like Sweetwater, if you do have an issue, right, you can just return it, and then when you get some more dough, you maybe upgrade to a better 500 rack. You know what I mean? So hope that helps. Robbie Rob. Hey, Robbie Rob. How are you? Hey, Dave. Any tips to avoid ground hum using analog gear? Recording through my analog mixing console and a compressor. By the way, great channel. Thank you, Robbie. Yeah, we talked about this last week too. Someone else asked this question. Here's the thing, and I was just telling you guys that, you know, the other day, I had a ground loop issue with my video setup, not my audio setup, not the console or anything like that. There's a few things that you can do for sure. One, especially if you're using a console and you have lots of cables, make sure you're using high-end cables, you know, good quality cables. Doesn't mean they have to be the most expensive, but I would use the best quality cables that you can afford. Don't buy the cheap stuff off Amazon. Not that you are, Robbie, but I know people that do. The other thing, you want to make sure that you try to, as much as you can, run your signal cables away from your AC power cables as much as possible. I know they get near each other and they cross, but try not to cross them over the top of each other. Try to separate them as much as possible. Make sure you're using things like a Furman power conditioner or Monster or some other reputable company's power conditioner. Make sure you got clean power. And also too, this is assuming you got clean power coming into the house or into the building. And you know, newer construction, no problem. But if you're in a real old building, a real old home, you can have dirty power coming into the house, which could cause problems. So make sure, and there's things that you can purchase on the inside of your home to clean up the power. And then the other thing that I use, aside from the power conditioners, I have two, one for the console itself and the one for the rest of the gear. I got two UPS units behind the console that the power conditioners plug into, and those are really there for, they're a surge protector, they clean power, but they're also there if the power suddenly goes out, the whole system doesn't shut down abruptly. It gives me, I think, 30 minutes to turn everything down or power everything down. So those are the things that that I would suggest. Good quality cables, clean power, power conditioners, and try to run the signal cables away from the AC cables as much as you possibly can. And you shouldn't have any issues. In this studio here, because we're using all Mogami Gold cables and did everything that I just said, you turn on this console, all this gear, you don't hear hiss, hum, nothing. I could turn up the pot on the console, the volume, and you don't hear a thing in this room. And I think it's because of all those things that we did. So I hope that helps. Hope that helps. Let's see. Ankit explains, hey, how are you? How to handle multiple inputs in a mixing console? How to handle multiple input sounds in a console? I don't understand the question. Can you be a little more specific? And I can try to help you. Music Good says, I think a video with a Neve 88M review comparing it to the 88RL would be awesome. Yeah, and if Neve would send me some equipment, or if Sweetwater would send me some equipment on Neve's behalf, I'd be happy to do it. And again, I'll keep saying it for the people that watch the replay, because I'm telling you it's true. This channel's not large enough for Sweetwater to send me high-end gear. Believe me, I've had those conversations with my affiliates there. They'll send me stuff from my Home Recording Made Easy channel, DAW controllers, podcast microphones, not low cost, but a more affordable stuff. But I've asked them, believe me, I asked them for a couple of pieces of API gear, and they just, but I guarantee you, if, you know, my good friend and love his YouTube channel, Warren Hewitt, if he asked Sweetwater for anything in Sweetwater, they would send it to him. Why? Because he's got 700,000 subscribers watching his videos. That's why. And so it really is from Sweetwater's point of view, and understandably so, by the way, it's all about the eyeballs. They're not going to give me that kind of gear, not even to borrow, because I've asked. Because unless they have a demo unit, because if they open up a brand new product and they send it to me, and even if I send it back to them, they can't sell it as new anymore, legally, even if it's pristine. So they say they lose about 15% when that happens. So I would love to do that. And again, maybe over time, over the next year or so, if the channel continues to grow, and I get, you know, a little bit of a larger, you know, foothold, I can get those kinds of things and do that. I would love to do it. Trust me. There are some companies that are willing to work with me a little bit. We'll talk about one in a few minutes, but nothing like Neve, but I wish they would. Thanks, Ricky. Really cool. Yeah, use Sweetwater if you do, and you use the links below. That's awesome. And again, if you ever have a problem, you can always return it. But yeah, those are the 500 racks that I would check out. James asks, hey James, how are you? In a mixing session, when there's a mono bus, or is there always some buses in mono, like a vocal, drums, or anything should be mixing in a mono bus? Oh, okay, I think I understand. Yeah, so this particular console, and you could do this in your DAW, even if you're not using a mixing console. If you have a vocal, let's say a lead vocal, that's a mono track, right? If you were running that to a bus, I would use a mono bus. This console has mono and stereo buses on it, or I shouldn't say that. There's stereo buses that can, with the touch of a button, can be flipped to mono. So like if I was running a bass to a bass bus or a lead vocal or something like that, I would run it mono. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you could keep it stereo if you want. But yeah, that's, you know, usually the things that are right up the center. Kick, snare, bass, vocal. Those are, right, those are usually the 4 main things that usually always stay up the center. So those things you can send to a mono bus for sure. You're welcome, Robbie Rob, no problem. Kaiser says, hey Kaiser, how are you? Empirical Labs Fatso Jr. That's a good part. Any good, can anyone give me some good feedback? I've never used one, but I know a couple of studios that have them and I've never heard anyone say anything bad about it. So, you know, they're the company, obviously, for people that don't know, that make the distressors, and those are some of the most popular compressors, if not the most popular compressor on the planet. So I'm sure the Fatso Jr. is really good. Have you ever tried the Fatso Jr. plugin just to see what kind of the vibe is? I know the hardware is different, but just to kind of get a feel, the controls, the layout, what it can do, what it can't do, that might be something to try as just kind of a benchmark. Like if you hate the plugin or you hate the functionality of it, then you may not like the hardware, you know? But yeah, that's what I would do. You're welcome, James. No problem at all, man. Hope that helps you. Let's see, Daniel. Hey, Daniel. How to add density to a track. Digital recording is so clean. All my recordings and mix feels weak, separated, without glue, density and mojo. Oh man, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. So how do you add density to a track? So you're doing everything in the box, right? So if you want to add density to a track, the very first thing, and I'm sure you're doing this on some level, is you're probably, if you're not, you could start trying to mix with some third-party analog plug-in emulations, channel strips, tape machines, saturators, those kinds of things. And I have an entire training course at Home Recording Made Easy to show you how to use those plugins in the most effective way. It's called Mixing with Analog Style Plugins Made Easy. Say that 3 times fast. It's a mouthful. But if you go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, it's under the advanced, it's on the training courses page under the advanced courses. I think it's 18 or 20 hours long, where we go through comparing the sound of different channel strips and tape machines, and I mean a whole host of things to show you how to emulate this kind of a workflow all in the box, and how to get some of the things that you're talking about. To take something that's very digital sounding and kind of give it that mojo and that grit and that glue. So if you're doing it all in the box, if there's no other course on planet Earth that's like that course, I would go check it out before you buy a single plugin or another plugin. So if you're asking about plugins, that's how you can do it. Try to emulate the workflow that we do in the analog world. And the mixing, the hybrid mixing course that I have out too, if you ever want to take that course, we do it on the SSL with all the hardware, but throughout that course, I talk a lot about, here's how you can use your plugins to emulate this, and I talk you through how to set it up and what to use and how to do it to get what you're kind of asking for. So there's 2 resources there, Mixing with Analog Style Plugins and Hybrid Mixing, all at Home Recording Made Easy, all on the advanced training page on the courses page. Hope that helps, man. Hope that helps. Thank you very much, James, for the super chat, brother. I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. That's so kind of you. That's so kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Santiago, how you doing, my friend? Dave, how is the SPL Big feeling so far? I've had it for about 2 or 3 weeks now. I love it, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, by the way, if you hear some hiss in the background, it's just my fan from my laptop kicking on. I have a noise gate on this, but the fan, these older MacBook Pros, they heat up and the fans are constantly running. I love it. Video's already been done for it, Santiago. It's coming in the next, I don't know, it's been done, it's already scheduled. I love it. This is one of the things, it's the best stereo imager I've ever used, plug-in or hardware. It blows the SSL Fusion stereo imager out of the water. It's a lot more flexible. For the price of that unit, it's fantastic. Fantastic. So I really do like it. And I've used it on 3 mixes, and it just sounds great, man. And you know what's really cool about it? Usually with stereo wideners, and especially with plugins, you got to be careful because you can get some kind of weird phasey kind of a sound if you're not careful. But this thing, I don't know what they're doing inside that box. You can push that thing almost as much as you want, and it never sounds that way. Now you can make it sound so it's a little unnatural, and you know, I probably am a little more conservative with it, but I think it sounds great. And I love the, as you know, I love the bass feature, right? The little flippy switch there to turn on the bass circuit. Killer. Killer box for 500 bucks or whatever that thing is costing these days. If you have a 500 rack and you're looking for something on the master bus to really get the mix to pop out of the speakers, it works really well. Way better than the imager on the SSL Fusion. Way better. In my opinion. Got to say that because people get upset. You're welcome, Daniel. No problem, my friend. Yes, and you're right, Santiago. It translates to mono beautifully. That's the first thing I checked as I hit the mono button on the console. I wanted to see how are things gonna, you know, sometimes you get big and wide. If you go too big and wide and you fold everything down the mono, everything starts to sound off and doesn't sound right. Not with this thing. Again, I don't know how they do it. I don't know what they're doing. And you can go read their website. You can look at the little pamphlet that comes with that unit, and they don't tell you much of anything. They don't even really tell you what the controls do. To be honest, I tried to explain it in the video the best I could, but that's a really great utility piece of gear. Really, really good. I really like that one. Let's see. Hey, Dave, enjoying your channel. Approximately how long does it take to recall, including the board and the outboard gear? Hey, how you doing? Sasu, how you doing? Good to see you. When I do recalls, and it's very, very few and far between, and there's a video on the channel, if you haven't seen it, it's got kind of a clickbaity title. I said, avoid recalls, become a better engineer. Go watch that video. I talk about it. But to recall this board, and I've done practice recalls in case I ever get asked to do one. I haven't been asked to do one yet. It takes about 45 minutes to recall the board and the gear. That's about what it takes. And I guess if I had to do a bunch of them, I could probably get better and get that faster, but my goal is not to be faster at recalls. My goal is not to do recalls. And I have not done a client mix yet where it had to be recalled, not yet. I'm sure one day there will be, and I do have a process, and my process is basically with the iPhone, I take high resolution, four or five pictures of the console, so you can really zoom up and you can see settings if you need to, and then I take photos of the gear. And that's it. So it's old school, but instead of writing everything down, I take photos. But I really don't do, well, I haven't, like I said, I haven't done one yet, but I can't, except for practice, but I can do it. I can do it. But go watch that video. People get all excited when I say I don't do recalls, and I don't. And if I had to, the client gets charged for it. How about that? Go watch the video then. If you want your blood to boil, people get all excited. Bangju, I see space in your rack in the back. What are you planning to get? Right now, I don't know. It's just open. It's just, I had to fill the one side. And then if you were at the last live stream, or if you saw the replay, in that space, there was a couple of pieces of gear that was a part of the whole video voiceover thing. All that gear's gone. As I said earlier, I spent my whole 2 days this week ripping apart all the video stuff, trying to hunt down some noise problems, and I eliminated the gear that was in there. And so right now, there's no plan to put anything in there. I don't know. Hopefully something soon at one point. We'll see. Well, let me show you. You guys can keep typing your questions. Let me show you some stuff. So again, in the SSL video yesterday that I posted, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's only about 12 minutes long, which is a shorter video for Uncle Dave. I talked about possibly replacing the SSL Fusion and getting another 500 rack, and filling it up with some more utility type modules, the things that I don't already have. Not just go buy a bunch of compressors, because I got all the compression that I need. If something new and cool comes out, maybe, but for the most part, I'm not really looking for that. Maybe a couple of EQs, but some utility stuff. So talking again about talking about, again, the channel, how big the channel is, subscribers and such, working with companies. Well, there is a company that I just developed a relationship with. I use a lot of their stuff already, and I have for years, and we've talked about this just a little while ago, which is Wes Audio. Wes Audio reached out to me about 3 or 4 weeks ago because we were talking about another product that they make where it allows you to do automation with a DAW and an analog console that doesn't have automation. They have a piece of gear called the NG Level. And basically what it is, it's a box that sits between your console and your DAW on the way back in, where in their plug-in, you do all your automation moves and it's completely 100% recallable so that you can do your automation post-processing, right? We're talking about that piece of gear. And they were talking to me about it because they watch our channel, they see I use Wes Audio stuff, and they said, yeah, we know you don't have any automation on this. Would you like to try the NG Level? And it didn't work out because the way that works wouldn't work with my workflow here. And we could talk more about that if you guys want to. Just let me know in the comments. But anyway, in that conversation, we talked about the other stuff that I have. And they had said to me, hey, I noticed you have the Dione, you have the NG bus compressor, and you have the RIA. Have you tried our 2 hardware EQs, which is the Hyperion stereo EQ and the Promeris, I think is how you pronounce it, which is their stereo Pultec style EQ. And I said, well, many years ago, when I at Home Recording Made Easy, I had those 2 EQs, we tested them out and stuff, and this is long before I really got into hardware and I ended up selling them. I didn't really have them for very long. And they said, would you like to try them again? We have some demo units. Would you like to try them? And I said, sure. And they said, well, we have Wes Audio, they said, we can't give you the gear. How much do you charge for a video? And I said, I don't take money for videos. And I don't. No company has ever paid me a penny for a video on either one of my 2 channels because I won't take it. Some companies, sometimes like Audioscape, will give me a piece of gear for that stuff. And that is payment. I'm not suggesting I'm not being compensated, but more times than not, I'm not being compensated. More times than not, I buy the stuff myself. Anyway, they said, well, we'd have a policy. We can't give you the EQs, but if you'd like to borrow them and send them back, if you want to do a video, do a video. If you don't want to do a video, don't do a video. So they did. They sent me their 2 EQs. So the first one here is the Hyperion, which again, I don't know, the camera may not focus on that. It might not. You can look it up online. But basically, it's a stereo dual mono 1, 2, 3, 4 band EQ with the total harmonic distortion circuit. Again, it's a complete analog box that's completely digitally controlled with a plug-in, or you could come over to the box and turn the knobs like all their other gear. So we're going to test that out. And then they also sent me the Pultec that I was telling you about. They call it the Promerius. I don't understand their names. Anyway, this is again another stereo, or it could be used in dual mono. This is their EQ. Again, I know you're not going to be able to see that too well, but there you go. Again, it's got the Pultec, boost cut thing on the low end. It's got the total harmonic distortion. Again, all controlled with a plug-in, which is great. These are both double wides in a 500 rack. And I said, well, I would love to do that, but my 500 racks are full, and I was thinking about getting a new 500 rack, and I don't feel like tearing apart the gear that's in there just to do a review on an EQ that I can't have or keep. And although if I wanted to buy it, they'd say they can sell it to me at an artist price, which is probably not, a little bit of a discount, which is very cool of them, but I don't know that I need these. But we're going to try them anyway. I thought you guys would like to see it. Again, see? They see the channel, they see I got stuff. They said, hey, would you like to bring your viewers a review? Okay, great. So I said, I'm in the market for a 500 rack. I have 2 of your 500 racks already. I have the Super Carrier and the Titan, so they know I have the gear. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you guys have any used or demo 500 racks that maybe you could give me a really good deal on, and maybe we could do that? You give me a really great price on that so I don't have to buy it brand new, and in exchange, I'll do the reviews for the videos because I know the EQs are going to be good whether I would want to keep them or buy them from them or not is irrelevant. I know they make good stuff. I know they're not going to be bad. It's just going to be a matter of, is it a flavor that I like? And you know, is it a flavor that you guys like? And they said, let me check. And they got back to me and says, yes, we have 2 left. We could give you a used 500 rack. And they did. So they gave me another, because I had one already that I bought. They gave me the Super Carrier, which is an 11 space rack. Again, I already have one of these. These things are awesome. It's used, it's a demo, but it looks new, it's fully functional. And they said, you know, we'll give you a really good price on this in exchange for the videos, if you'd like. So we worked out a deal. So I was able to get a really good price on this so I can expand my 500 rack and I can use this to put their EQs in the demo for you guys and then to fill it with some other stuff. So yeah, so that's what we did. So that's really cool. I got some more stuff too, but let's answer some more questions. So we're gonna have some reviews on the, or some, you know, demonstrations on these 2 EQs in the 500 rack once the rack gets rewired, because we're gonna completely rewire these 2 racks. I'm gonna put things in a more strategic location now that I've got some gear. I'm gonna consolidate some things. So my buddy David SJ, you've seen him on the channel a lot of times. He's gonna come up, I think towards the end of this month or the very beginning of next month. He's really busy at work right now, so he's looking for a Saturday in his schedule where he can come up. And we're probably gonna do one of those 7-hour live stream extravaganzas like we did a couple of years ago, where we're gonna put up a camera and you can watch us rewire the rack and we'll talk you through it and we'll take questions and all that stuff. So once all that gets done, then I'm gonna load up these 2 EQs and we're gonna take a listen to them. So that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, so that's a lot of fun, and I love Wes Audio stuff. Like I said, I've been using them for years, and I think they're really great, man. I think they're really great. Let's see. Hi Dave, great channel. Next year you'll have tons of gear to review. I hope so. I hope so. I'd like to review some more. There's a lot of stuff out there that I'd like to get, but I gotta buy it all. So if I have to buy it all, then it's something I gotta really, really want, or it's something I can afford. Like in the SSL video that was posted yesterday, a lot of you just said, I can't believe you don't have the Neve Portico yet. How you try the Alesis stuff? You guys are giving me lots of, you know, so a couple of people said, I can't believe you haven't checked out or you haven't reviewed the API 2500 bus compressor. I would love to, I love all that stuff, believe me. I would love it. But the Neve Portico is, I think, $5,000 or something like that. And right now, I just got through paying off my Trin off. So I gotta let the wallet cool down a little bit. So I would love to do reviews for you guys on all of that stuff and give you my honest assessment of them. But as I said, you know, so I hope so. I hope next year as we continue to grow, I'll have the ability to maybe get a couple of those pieces and check them out for you guys. And if it's something I really like, then I'm gonna buy it and keep it. I'm not opposed to, and I tell people, look, I'm not just looking for companies to give me free stuff. I want them to loan me the stuff. If I really like it, if they'll just give me a discount for doing the video for them, that's fair to me. I don't need to get everything. I'm not looking for a bunch of free stuff like a lot of these other channels. I mean, like I keep saying, because I want people to understand that are new here that I'm not a sponsored channel. 90% of everything you see here I paid for, with the exception of a handful of pieces from Audioscape, which I love. And I've bought stuff from Audioscape as well. So they didn't give me all the stuff for free. I paid for some of it. Anyway. Hey Dave, what are you using the RIA on? I use the RIA a lot on acoustic guitars, love it. I use it on strings, pads, like, you know, strings, violins, those string sections, love it there. I've used it on female vocals, I really like it there as well. Those are usually the 3 places that I use the RIA. That's a great, great compressor. Great compressor. Robert says, hey Robert, have you done much mid-side? What about keeping the Fusion for mid-side insert options? I haven't done much with mid-side. I know people that do. I've experimented with a little. I haven't really had a situation where it's like I gotta have mid-side. And again, for the few times that I would need to do that, I can do it in the box. I don't want to keep a piece of gear like that just so on the occasion to do mid-side stuff. But I hear you. Yeah, so no, I wouldn't keep it just for that. I wouldn't keep it just for that. Some people had suggested, well, just put it on your drum bus or put it here, put it there. All great suggestions, by the way. But I don't really need it there. I really don't need it there. You know, it's not that it's a, again, I've told people it's a great sounding box. I mean, you saw the review on it. I love the Fusion. But I like my master bus chain better than the Fusion now, and it's way more flexible. And I really don't feel like I have a need to put the Fusion on a bus or something like that. I don't really feel like I have the need for that. So, yeah. But I mean, good suggestion, though. Timu, do you like dial bridge compression? I do. I'd love to get one. I'd love to get like a Neve 33609. That's another one that's on my list. 3,500 bucks. That's another one that's on my list. Although Heritage Audio makes one called the Successor, which is loosely based on the 33609, its dial bridge. And that's more affordable. Maybe at one point but I would love a Neve 33609. I would love that. So yeah, that's the one style, if you will, of compressor that I don't have. Believe me, Timu, I know it's on my hit list. Trust me. Chris says, "Hey Dave, with Atmos blowing up, do you see yourself adopting a system anytime soon?" No, we talked about this last week, and I'll tell you, I forgot to say this in the intro. One of the other reasons why I want to come on here is I want to talk a little bit more about Dolby and some of the stuff that I've learned. Because since the last live stream, when someone, and he may not be here today, was debating on a couple of DAWs, whether it was going to be Studio One or Cubase, I think were the two. And he seemed to be really hung up on Cubase because Cubase is Dolby Atmos compliant or whatever, like Pro Tools and I believe Logic, maybe? Where Studio One is not, at least not yet. And so I know what Dolby is, and I've done some research on it. Here's what I'll say about Dolby if you guys want to talk about it. And the reason why I'm going to say anytime soon, no. If time soon means in the next couple of years, no. Will one day Dolby Atmos be something that we, if we're in this business, are all going to have to do, whether you're Capitol Records and big time studios or whether you're little old Uncle Dave at Mixing Music Analog? Probably. But here's the thing about Dolby Atmos that a lot of people seem to miss, I think. And again, I'll give you some resources that you can go research and listen for yourself, because I go and research the people that are actually doing this stuff for real. Not the YouTubers that haven't done it yet, that claim it's the next greatest thing since sliced bread because they're sponsored and because Sweetwater this and that. I'm talking about the cats that actually do it. Andrew Sheps, Fab DuPont, Dave Ocean Way, over at Ocean Way. I forget the gentleman's name, and I off the top of my head, but the lead guy at Dolby at Capitol Records. The guys that actually do this stuff for real. Chris Lord-Alge. And I listen to what they say. Here's the thing. The problem with Dolby as it sits right now, as I see it, and as these guys see it as well, I'm kind of passing along what they've kind of confirmed some of the things that I was thinking, because I was new to researching. It's not so much, it's been around in TV and film and stuff for probably a good 10 years, maybe a little longer or so, but it's been out there for a long time, and it's now coming into the music scene because Apple Music, and I don't know how far along Spotify is, but Apple Music is starting to get behind this thing and starting to suggest, and again, I don't know all the particulars, and things are probably changing every day, every week, that the rumor is that at one point you won't be able to upload music to Apple Music, or maybe even Spotify, unless you also provide with your stereo mix an Atmos mix. Now, if that really happens, then that means that everyone that wants to put their music on those streaming platforms would have to have a Dolby Atmos mix available, right? It's a different mix. You have a stereo file and an Atmos mix file, which is part A of the issue. But the real issue with Dolby Atmos is 90% of the people that listen to music today listen on what? Headphones and earbuds, right? That's where most people consume their music, right? AirPods, those kinds of things. Dolby Atmos can't be heard in that playback format the way it was intended. Now, there is a thing called the binaural mix, which I know what people talk about, and that you can mix on headphones and you can mix in binaural and it's the same, and it's not the same. It doesn't even sound remotely close. Now, there are third-party companies and plugin companies that are coming up with different plugins and things, and the technology is going to get to the point, it will. How quickly, who knows? You know how technology is, right? It could be next month for all I know. But as I kind of have learned, that until the consumer is going to be able to experience that Dolby Atmos mix the way it was intended, or 90% of the way that it was intended, as you're sitting in a real Dolby Atmos room, or if you were to sit in a living room or a home theater that had all of that stuff built in, until that can be done on headphones, it's a problem, because you can't experience that mix. The binaural mix is not the same. It's not even close to the same. And I've listened to them, so I know it's not the same. At least I don't hear the same. So you can hear a little bit of a sensation of things that are kind of happening, but nothing like a real Dolby Atmos mix. So that's the problem. The second problem is, for most studios, is still the cost of entry into that world is very expensive. Now, there are companies now that are starting to come out with systems and with speaker systems and stuff that are a little bit more affordable. And just like with anything else, technology is going to get cheaper and it's going to be more accessible to more studios. The other problem is, if currently, again, and I know it's changing fast, and I'm not an expert in this yet, but I'm learning, because it is interesting, that again, the average artist, not the major label people. I mean, that's where this is really focused on, but I'm talking about us, right? People who go out and hire Uncle Dave to mix their song, and to pay me what I get charged just to do a stereo mix is really kind of pushing the limits of their budget, right? These are people that are not signed artists. To do a Dolby mix, it's way more expensive, because I have to go out and invest the money to make this a Dolby room. It's two separate mixes, especially when you do it on an analog console, because right now the only way to do it efficiently, I guess would be the right word, is for guys that are doing all in the box. So as soon as you start adding a console in, you have a much bigger setup to be able to do that effectively, to where you don't have to charge the artist an arm and a leg. So there's still a lot of problems in it. Again, because Apple's involved, and now again they got all the YouTubers. I mean, Sweetwater's got a big Dolby room, and they've already got YouTubers out there pushing this stuff. And I'm not saying that it's not here to stay. I think it is here to stay. I don't think it's going to be as popular and in the mainstream for, if I had to guess, and again, what the hell do I know, right? 3 to 5 years is, I think, where we're at. And I even went as far as to, because I was like, wow, I wonder what it would cost to set up this room in Dolby Atmos. Probably 40 grand. Not only do I need the speakers, but now you need a monitor system and a monitor controller and a speaker controller system to control all those speakers. They don't make a $300 interface that does that yet. I'm sure they will, but they don't yet. Right now, you're probably looking 7 to 10 grand just for the box to be able to plug all those speakers into, because now you have to, you think you have problems with time alignment with just left and right. You got 13 speakers in the room. You got all kinds of timing, alignment issues, big time, and a way more acoustic treatment needs to be done. It's a big deal. So I think it's blowing up because, my opinion, for what it's worth, and it's probably not worth much to most people, but to you guys it is, I think it's the new shiny thing in the room that everybody's talking about, but 5.1 was the new shiny thing in the room too, and that didn't last. Now, I know the difference between 5.1 and Dolby Atmos is that in a 5.1 mix, if you didn't have 5.1 speakers, whatever part you were missing, you would lose that information in the music. Where in Dolby Atmos, there's some hocus pocus, and again, I don't know all the particulars, you don't lose that. And so, I'm not convinced yet. I'm just not convinced yet. But I think it eventually will be. I do believe that, especially if you have companies like Apple and Spotify and Dolby and all, putting billions and hundreds of millions of dollars into this, that it eventually will be that. I don't think it's any time soon, though. And I think for the average person that's mixing out of their home, mixing their own music, or even people like me who are mixing for clients but are doing, you know, indie artist type things, I don't think it's the thing. I think stereo mix is still going to be king. Now, the resources I want you guys to go to check out, if you haven't done so already, if you search on YouTube, just search the words puremix.net Dolby Atmos, and there was a 4-hour live stream that the gentleman that I mentioned, Andrew, Mr. Sheps, Mr. DuPont, Dave Way, and I can't remember the gentleman's name from Capitol Records, and he's a famous guy, and I can't remember his name. Anyway, this is about 9 months ago, this video was done, and they did a 4-hour live stream all about Dolby. And a lot of just what I said to you are the same concerns and stumbling blocks and obstacles that they're talking about. Now, again, the video's 9 months old. 9 months is a long time in technology. They haven't did an update video on that. But I don't think it's, I think it's, again, I think it's, you know, it's a marketing thing right now. Everyone's, I mean, again, I don't think it's here yet. I'm not going to do it yet. I've not had a client ask me about it yet. If eventually it gets to the point where clients are demanding an Atmos mix or they're not going to hire me, if that comes to pass at one point, then yeah, I'd have to make a business decision. I'd have to look at the cost. I'd have to look at what can I charge a client? Are they going to be willing to pay that? And what's the ROI? Just like anything else just like when I bought all this stuff. It all comes down to a business decision. But eventually, I think it will be something. But I don't think it's anytime soon. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I could be, but that's just my opinion. That's a long-winded answer. But go check, oh, and also too, there's a podcast that I listen to. I don't remember the website, but if you Google, it's on YouTube. YouTube, Chris Lord-Alge, Dolby Atmos. And there was an audio podcast where he was talking about this as well. And that podcast is only like 3 months old. And he said the same thing. He has a Dolby room. But he was saying the same thing. All the same things I just said is his concern about it. And because he is an SSL guy, he is not an all-in-the-box mixer, and he says he has no plans to be. The way he's handling Dolby currently is he's actually has 2 rooms. He has his SSL room, and then he has a Dolby room that's all in the box. And the way he's dealing with it, at least according to this podcast, is that through a console, well, how do you do it? What he does is he does a stereo mix first, and then while he's doing that stereo mix, he's thinking about the stems that he's going to print back into Pro Tools for the Dolby Atmos mix. So everything's already been processed with his outboard, his EQ, his compression, all of his analog stuff that he uses. He prints his stems back in, then they take those stems after the stereo mix is done, and they bring them into another room, all in the box, where they don't have to deal with EQ compression anymore because it's already been baked in, and they're basically dealing with panning and levels. And that's what they're in automation. And that's how he's doing his Dolby stuff, because he says he's not, he says he's going to stay out of the box. And he says he still feels that the stereo mix is king and is going to be for quite some time. He doesn't see it happening anytime soon. But he also says at his level, at all these famous record label engineers level, they all have to have it, because sooner or later it's going to be the new standard and they have to learn it. And that's, you know, but again, for guys like us, I don't think so. At least not right now. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's how I see it. So I encourage you to go check out those resources. And again, I encourage you, you know, go watch all the people that are talking about it. But there's a lot of people, again, it's like anything else with YouTube, right? There's a lot of people on there that are talking that really, that, you know, you want to listen to the people that actually do it for real, that do it for a living, right? Not the cats that it's the new shiny thing and they set up 5 Kali speakers in their bedroom and now they're a Dolby room. No, talk to the engineers and to the people, or listen to the folks that actually do this at major labels, that have been doing it for TV and film, that are also doing it now for music. Listen to what they say, where we are in the process of all of this. These are the guys that are in it every single day. Not Joe Blow, who had Sweetwater send them a bunch of gear so they'll talk about Dolby. Because unfortunately, that kind of stuff is going on right now. And I know that for a fact. So just listen to the people that really do this stuff, you know? That's what I'm doing. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Oh, let's see. David asks, what are you hoping to see at NAMM this year? What would surprise you? You know, I don't know. I'm not going to NAMM. You know, I don't know. You know, I'm always, you know, kind of going, what else could people do? What, you know, I think what, not that I'm hoping to see it, but I think what we're going to continue to see more of in the box world, we're going to see it more with AI stuff. I know that's already being done to some degree, but I think you're going to see more software and plugins that maybe adopt the AI thing, I think you'll also see more companies coming out with, as I said a minute ago, some plugins and some add-ons and some apps that can give you that can move you closer to that immersive Dolby kind of sound and mixing. I think those things will continue to come out, and some of them may be good and some of them may not, and it'll have to develop and mature over time. In the hardware world, I'm hoping to see, to be quite honest with you, more companies that create gear that are digitally controlled, like Wes Audio. Why every company's not doing this is beyond me. They've been doing this now for, I don't know, at least 5 years. There are some companies that are doing it, and I know it's, you know, probably more expensive, but hardware that is digitally controlled, analog path, you can physically touch it, but all the settings are digitally controlled and recallable. I'd like to see more of that. Because when I see gear like that, I'm interested in checking out that gear. At least I am. Hey, David SJ's here. Hey, David, how's it going, man? Just got home from work? Just in time to see Dave. Yeah, I said Dave earlier, before you probably came home from work, that you're coming soon. We're going to do a rack rewire extravaganza, probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks, depending on your schedule. So Dave will be here, and he'll help me with all this stuff, and we'll rip it all apart, and we'll do all that stuff together. So yeah, good to see you, my friend. Let's see. Martin says, hey, Martin, I'll subscribe and you give me 20% of what you make with YouTube. Really? 20% of almost nothing is nothing. You want to know what I make on YouTube on this channel? Pennies. Pennies per hour. It's not even, from a business perspective, if you were looking at it just from a business, I don't do this YouTube channel from a business perspective. It's really for a passion thing, love teaching and hanging out with you guys. But from a business perspective, it makes absolutely no sense to be on this thing. Unless you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers or millions of subscribers, you make nothing on YouTube. Zero. Pennies. It's pennies on the hour. It really, truly is. So if you don't want to subscribe, don't subscribe. If you don't want to support what I do, don't support what I do. It's okay. If you want it all for free, it's here for free for you, brother. So what kind of music do you do? Oh, let me put this up on the screen. So what kind of music do you do, or do you have a studio for making YouTube videos? Well, my studio is for making YouTube videos, but music that I mix and such, I do everything except for really rap is not my bag, and really, really hardcore metal, like, you know, what would be classified as death metal or that. Those are really the only two styles of music I don't work on. Everything else is pretty much, you know, open season. And so that's what I do. But my studio is a combination of working, mixing for clients, YouTube videos, training courses, tutorials, all that stuff. That's what I do. And Dave says he will send Martin 50 cents. Yeah, it's about right, Dave. It's probably not too much further than that. It really isn't. People think we make a lot of money here on YouTube. We make almost nothing on YouTube. Let's see. Can you get a stamp clone? Now have some... Oh, you can get a stamp clone. Okay. Now do you have some extra... Is $19.99, $17.99 per order. It's a stamp clone of what, though? Of a certain piece of gear? That's cool. Oh, the 33609. There it is. Okay, great. Really? I don't know much about Stam Audio. I know of them. I know a couple of people that own some of their stuff and are happy. I would like to get a real 33609, just because I want to know what it sounds like. Let's see. Rez says, I think it'll fizzle out. I'm done. I've done Atmos mixes. It's cool, but it's just not realistic for the consumer to enjoy. Yeah, that's right now, the way I see it, that's the sticking point. The sticking point is the consumer can't experience it. That's the problem. Once that problem is lifted, Dolby will be a thing. It'll be a thing. Because I've heard a real Dolby. I've been one time. I was in very early on. I was in a demonstration where I was in a Dolby room, and I listened to music in a Dolby room. And I got to tell you, I mean, this place was set up with, like, you know, the highest end speakers, and I'll tell you what. If you stand in the center of a Dolby room and listen to something that was done in Dolby, it is quite spectacular. It is. If you could get that on a pair of headphones, man, that would be something else. It is very cool. But until the consumer can enjoy it, I don't see it. Most people are not going to go out and put 12 speakers in their living room and sit in the center in a chair in the sweet spot to experience Dolby. People are not going to do that. Let's see. Heritage has a 609A. Yeah. Well, don't they have? Isn't the successor? Isn't that based on the 33609? Or am I mistaken about that? I could be. I thought it was, though. But oh yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. You are right. Now they make something called the HA609. Yeah. I remember that piece. That is one. What does that thing cost? Anybody know? Again, I would love to try one. You know, what is it? It's got to be a couple of grand, I would think, right? Apple is pushing this to sell Apple Atmos and binaural headphones and gear. It's all about selling hardware to people. It's not because people want it. Apple just wants to sell it. Well, that certainly you got a point. I mean, the thing that makes this thing more real to me is if Apple is behind it, Apple Music, and they're pumping money into this thing, and if Spotify gets into this, the two biggest streaming platforms on planet Earth, it will eventually happen. It will. 5.1, you didn't have that. You know, Quad, you didn't have that many years ago. So, you know, yeah, it's all, yeah, if you don't think this is not another money-making opportunity, why else would they do it? It only makes sense from a business perspective, and for the artists, especially, you know, major label artists, for them, it's great. It's another piece of content they can sell their fans. Because do you think that if you buy a single well, it may eventually be this way, but my guess would be, if I had to guess, if you buy an artist's single on Apple Music, you think you're going to get the Atmos mix for free? You would think so. You would hope so, right? Well, if you're an Apple Music subscriber, you think you'd get all of that? You think they're going to give that away for nothing or for the same price? Or do you think the subscription's going to get higher and the iTunes purchase is going to be more? Of course it's going to be more. At least I would imagine it would be. Nobody is doing this because they're out of the goodness of their heart and they like the technology. They're doing this to make money. But it's cool. You know, I mean, it is cool. And believe me, I would love to have 13 speakers in this room and have to be able to do. I mean, I just think the experience would be cool as hell, would be fun. I'm not knocking that. I think it would be great. But right now, because I did a quick calculation, about $40,000 for me to make this a Dolby mix room. That I won't get that money back anytime in the near future. It'd be fun. David says that he's fine with it for film and such, but music doesn't sound good to me in Atmos. Yeah, for film and, yeah, for like movies and stuff, killer, right? Makes sense, right? Action movies, those kinds of things. Music, it's cool if the mix was done with Dolby Atmos in mind. It's way different. And again, go watch the Fab DuPont, Andrew Sheps did that live stream. They talk about that too, where people are trying to take stereo mixes and there's somehow they could run them through some software or some plugin. Again, I don't know the process where they can take a stereo mix and adopt it to Atmos. It doesn't sound right. And they even said it doesn't sound right. Now, if you're doing an Atmos from scratch, it's different. And it is cool. But again, I think eventually it will be really cool and really something. I think eventually it will be. We'll see, right? Daniel says, hello, Dave. Thank you for all the infos. You're welcome, my friend. I'm not buying in this Atmos crap, even because it sounds dull to me. Yeah, again, I've only heard one example of an Atmos mix in an Atmos room, and it wasn't a famous song. It was some kind of, like a classical orchestra, like big orchestra section. And boy, oh boy, it was wild. I mean, it was wild. I mean, it was like, whoa. You know, where you're standing in the center and you have this huge orchestra and you have all the violins coming from one side and stuff coming from the back and you're hearing stuff over the top. It was crazy cool. But that's my only experience with it. And when I listen to Apple's immersive music on my AirPods, it doesn't even remind me anything next to that. It's not even close. As a matter of fact, I think I said a couple of weeks ago, when they first put that, you know, what they call it, immersive, I think Apple calls it, right? I think one of the Motley Crue albums was done in that or whatever. And I listened to it and I didn't hear any difference. I went, this sounds just like the stereo mix to me. Like I guess my brain and my ears didn't connect. I didn't get it. Like I'm listening to this immersive sound and I'm with the AirPod Pros, you know, all the Apple stuff. I'm an Apple geek like most of you probably are. And I didn't hear anything different than when I was listening to the regular old stereo mix. I didn't get it. I was like, what's the big deal? I don't hear anything. I hear what sounds to be like a little bit of a room reverb put on the entire mix. That was what I heard. I don't know. And that's when people talk about Atmos and actually, because someone said you could do it in Cubase 12, and I have Cubase 12, and I took a multi-track session and I played around with it in my headphones. I learned how to make the objects. I did it. And it didn't, I was like, this seems like an awful lot of work. It doesn't sound any different to me. It just sounds like there's a slight room reverb on the mix, like you can hear some reflections. But I didn't hear any of that, you know, up top, front, back, none of that. I didn't hear any of that. I don't know. I was hoping I was going to be totally honest, because I mean, you want to talk about, people said NAMM, new and exciting. I would love that. I wish that was all flushed out and that you could, in a pair of headphones in Cubase, do an Atmos mix and really hear that. I would think that'd be cool. I would do it. We would do some videos together. I think that would be cool. But I tried it and I didn't hear that at all. Not even close. So I don't know. Oh, David just posted the Atmos stream. Yeah, Dave, is that the Pure Mix one? Yeah, go. It's 4 hours, and I know it's a little dry, but I got to tell you, it's an interest. If you're interested in even learning what the whole thing's about, it's an interesting watch. It really truly is. It really truly is an interesting watch. I learned a lot there. Well, it confirmed some of the things that I believed already about this whole thing, as I said, and then I learned some stuff too, and I was just trying to get a gauge for, you know, how real is this thing? And oh, by the way, when you watch that too, it's not just 5 guys on there saying how great Atmos is. There's actually the one guy that's kind of the naysayer, which surprised me, but I'm so glad, and he was very outspoken, was Fab Dupont, who has an Atmos room. He has one in Flux Studios because, again, he has to be competitive. And all the things that we're talking about, he was making those exact points. And he's like, I don't buy it. I think it's cool, you know. So I mean, there was really some good back and forth. It wasn't 4 or 5 guys just trying to sell you on Atmos. They were really talking about it from a very practical, where we are with the technology, what is the whole behind the scenes, what's involved, how does it benefit, what are the pros, what are the cons. So I think it's a good watch. Thanks, Dave, for posting that. Go watch it if you guys get bored on Easter Sunday after you have dinner. Robbie Robb says, thank David S.J. Yes, thank you very much. The Eternal Gospel, I'm subscribed. Thank you so much. You don't want any of my YouTube money, do you? The 50 cents? I wish I was one of these channels that had 500,000 subscribers. Those guys make 100 grand a year in ad money. Easy. Easy. Believe me, I would love to be one of that channel one day, but I don't know that I'll be alive on YouTube long enough to get that many subscribers. But the guys that are doing it for real, like, you know, YouTubers that make a living on YouTube, they make a lot of money from ads. Trust me, they do. But, you know, they work for it. I mean, they really do. This YouTube thing is not easy, believe me. So, hey, good for them. If I can make that kind of bread one day, I'd be happy to tell you. Let's see. How would you route the 1073 pre 1176 combination Pultec EQ? How would I route it? Not sure what do you mean? How would I route it? Route it like to the console? If that's what you're asking, it's all in a patch bay, and there's insert points on the console on every channel. So for example, lead vocal, channel 15, if I wanted to take those three things and put them together, I would, well, we have a preamp here on the desk, but we would come on the insert point here, we would come out of the console into the 1073 in the patch bay, out of the 1073 into the 1176 compressor on the patch bay, and then into the EQ. Then out of the EQ, we'd come back in on the channel. So that would make the loop, send and return, and then we would insert it with a button here on the console. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but that's how it would be done. Let's see, I'd say when Atmos or audio becomes the standard, it's going to cut a lot of the smaller guys in the audio world out, at least for a good bit. Well, here's the thing. I would say yes, I agree with you if that means that the standard is coming very soon. Right now, I don't think that's the case. And when it does become the standard, I think the technology and the cost of entry to get into mixing in Dolby will be a lot more affordable for the smaller guy. And then everybody can have an Atmos setup. Now, just like with a regular mix room and a stereo setup, you're gonna have people that are gonna build out their room and have the ability to set up a really nice room to do stereo mixes. You're gonna have people that are gonna be able to spend the money to set up an Atmos mix room, to do Dolby Atmos mixes. And you're gonna have other people who are sitting with a laptop and a set of earbuds and calling themselves a Dolby Atmos mixer. We have that now in the stereo world. We have people that, anyone with a laptop and a piece of software can call themselves a mixing engineer, right? And they mix records for 50 bucks. And they say they're a professional mixing engineer. And I'm sure they do great work. So when Dolby becomes the standard, it's gonna be the same thing. You're gonna have the people that really took the time, the money, and the time and the money to learn how to mix in that format and to turn out really good stuff and to be able to practice long enough to make. And that's a lot of the reasons why a lot of these big studios are now adopting it, even though they don't believe in it wholeheartedly yet, is because they think one day it is coming and they know there's a pretty steep learning curve, way more so than mixing stereo. And there's a lot of things to consider, both physically in the room, the equipment, and how you mix and what you choose to pan and how that translates and all of that stuff. So they're getting in early to go through the growing pains because it's not the standard. But when it does become the standard, I think it'll be affordable enough that everybody that wants to do it, for the most part, will be able to, and you'll have really great people doing awesome work, and you'll have the exact opposite of that too. And we already have that now. We already have that now. Like I said, you can go to a lot of these websites like Air Gigs and these other websites where you have mixing engineers that, I've seen people say that they're Grammy nominated. Now, if they're really Grammy nominated or not, who knows? And they'll mix a song for $75. It's a race to the bottom. I won't even turn on the lights in this room for $75. I would lose my shirt. Do you really believe that there's a Grammy nominated engineer mixing for $75 a song? Really? I don't understand that business model, not even a little. You'll have guys doing Dolby mixes like that too at one point. And I think that's a shame, to be honest. But that, again, these are all just my opinions. Take it for what it's worth, you know. All right, okay, here we are. I am Dolby Atmos certified. Awesome. The biggest thing I'm running into with clients is asking for me is for it let me read this again, I'm sorry. I'm a Dolby Atmos certified. The biggest thing I'm running into with clients is asking for it's that mastering is a lot more money. Okay, well, okay, so you're right. So you're already seeing that it's a lot more money to do the work, and clients, are you saying you're having a problem with clients don't want to pay the money? That would make sense to me. Again, right now, I can't imagine that from an artist's point of view, it's going to cost them more money to have it done. Who's going to invest $100,000 of equipment in their studio to do a Dolby Atmos mix and not charge for it? I mean, so that's great that you're Dolby Atmos certified. Congratulations, man. You're at the front. You're at the forefront of it. Right on, brother. I do appreciate the effects like reverb literally flowing through the Atmos. Sweetwater rig was definitely next level when experienced Atmos for the first time in a studio setting. Oh, so you checked out the Sweetwater room? I wish I was able to do that. Yeah, I didn't check out their room, but like I said, I did listen to something in a real room once, and it was pretty special. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was killer, man. It's a whole new way to experience music. But can you get the Eagles Rage? Can we get that experience that you're talking about in a set of earbuds? Until we can, I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's going away. I just don't think it's going to be coming to the forefront as quickly as everybody thinks it is. But who knows? Hi, Dave. Hope all is well with you. Hope all is well with you as well. Elogic 718. Thank you so much for your experience and perspective on your journey with the Origin. Currently saving up for one. Great, man. Thank you so much for the support, for watching, and I hope it's helped you in some way. Are you looking for the Origin 32 or the Origin 16? I'm sure you're aware that they have a mini baby Origin that is 16 channels, 32 faders, 16 long, 16 short. That's great. I hope it's been helping. And let us know when you buy one. Daniel says that he's here in Japan living in Tokyo. Oh, wow, cool. There are some places that have Atmos. It's an amazing experience indeed, but unless you have the gear and the environments to listen to it, it's useless to me. Yep, 100%. DJ3 says, 2 weeks ago, I got an email from my distributor and I was told that without Atmos mix, there will be no more play listening for new music. That's the rub in all of this. And that's where this thing may come to the forefront faster than I'm even thinking. Is if that really happens, especially with Apple Music and Spotify, if it comes to pass that I make a song here in my studio, I'm just an indie artist and I'm not signed to anybody. I'm the weekend warrior making music and I want to put it on Apple Music. If I'm not allowed to do that without a Dolby Atmos version of my song, if that happens on those two platforms, that changes the game. That changes the game. Now, does that mean what constitutes a real Dolby mix? Throwing it in Cubase 12 on a set of headphones that doesn't sound any different and just exporting a Dolby Atmos formatted file? Is that all you have to do and then I could put my music on Apple Music? Well, that's different. That's different. Because we could do that today, right? I believe, again, a Cubase and Pro Tools, I believe you can do that today. You can mix on your headphones with their little thing, and Cubase has it all integrated very well. You could do it with other DAWs as well if you get the Dolby as a plugin or something. I don't know what they call it. The Dolby Renderer. Maybe some of you guys know more than me. Like Studio One is not Dolby Atmos set up, but you can do Dolby in Studio One. I saw a guy that did a video on it, and after about 5 minutes, my brain hurt. The amount of hoops you had to jump through to make Studio One do this because it's not integrated yet. However, I watched a couple of videos on how you do it in Cubase 12 and it was actually quite easy. And as I said, I tried it. So if all that really means, DJ, is that I could run it through Cubase on my headphones, do some pans and stuff, and then export a Dolby Atmos file, if that's all I have to do, That's easy to do. But to do a real Dolby Atmos mix, again, that's where I think things change. When and if that really happens. And some people say it's going to happen, and some people say it's not going to happen anytime soon, but it will eventually happen. I'm of the belief it will eventually happen. I'm in the Chris Lord-Alge camp saying it's probably 3 years away, 5 years away before it's really the standard, maybe longer. Well, but what the hell do I know? In the world of technology, right, 5 years is an eternity, right? The technology changes so quickly. Speaker manufacturers could put together, and there already does. Cali, there was a video recently. I think Warren Hewitt did the studio tour of the Cali Dolby room, and their whole thing was, you don't need to spend $25,000 on speakers. You could buy our Cali speakers, and you could do the whole thing for less than $5,000. Okay. You could do the speakers for less than $5,000, but I don't remember them showing a monitor controller or a speaker controller that can do that. So there's already companies making a lower cost solution for people who can't afford the stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. David said it would be cool to do a contest of some sort. I'd love to. I'd love to. If I could get a company to sponsor a contest, all that means is give me some prizes to give away. I don't need to make any money from it. I'm not here. I would do that as maybe we do one or two, maybe one a year, or we do something. If I could get a cool company to sponsor something like that, I would be happy to do it. I think it would be fun for all of us. So maybe. David says he makes the song $75. Great. And I'm sure your work is fantastic. I won't even come down here for $75. I just won't. I won't. I think that, but everyone's got their own thing, and everyone has to work for a certain amount of money, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. If that works for you and for your business model, my friend, you should do that. But as a business, and again, there's a lot of guys that do it on the side too for fun, extra money so they can support their gear habit and stuff, and I get all that. But for someone who does this for a living, I wouldn't make any money. Or I would have to mix so many songs to make money. I would be working 15 hours a day. I have no interest in that. No interest in that at all. Especially when it takes, 5, 6 hours to do a mix, right? And then revisions and back and forth. You're into 6, 8 hours to do a stereo mix, and that's if the song's not 150 tracks, right? So what am I making per hour at that point? I'm not looking to work for $10 an hour. There's a lot, so, but again, I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. If that works for you, that works for you. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just saying that if you're really, really good at what you do, and I'm sure you are, I think you devalue yourself and you devalue this craft when you work for pennies when you're working for minimum wage. Because, as like anything, right? This is a craft. If you're good at this stuff and you have a lot of clients and you worked really hard to get really good, man, you spent the time, the money, the training, the gear, all that stuff, and to do it for next to nothing, I tell if you're really good at what you do, you could probably charge twice as much money and clients will pay for it. And that not only helps you, but it helps all of us in this industry, right? That's just my opinion. Again, I'm only one guy. Everyone's got to do what works for them. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. I don't think bad of anybody. That's just my opinion. Daniel says, I subscribe to your channel because I like your killer sound of your snare you presented in one of your videos. All right. You only liked one video, one snare sound? Hey, that's cool, man. You're a really good person. And of course, a great mix engineer, Dave. I appreciate you, buddy. I'm only teasing. No, I'm great. Thank you. I think I'm good at what I do, but like I always say, I'm still learning the craft, and this is a journey for me, and I'm by no means, I always say, there's a lot of people that are better than me, and there's a lot of people that I'm better than, and I'm somewhere in the middle, and I'm continuing to hopefully get better, And I enjoy it and I love it. So I appreciate you too, and I appreciate you subscribing and supporting the cause. And I hope this helps you in some way. And I learn from you guys as well. Trust me, you guys teach me stuff too. Okay, what will happen when people, what will happen is people will mix in Atmos basically to satisfy Apple and Spotify just to get their songs listed. I would agree with you. You will lay out the instruments like a live sound stage and then throw a few pans. Yeah, again, I understand your point and I don't disagree with you. I think you're right. I think you're gonna, if you're just gonna throw it in there, throw a couple of pans around and export an Atmos file and say it's Dolby Atmos mix, that's, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's that simple. At least not yet. But maybe people will do that. And you know, again, I'm saying I'm not against it. Look, if it gets to the point where I have my clients that pay my rate and I don't charge $75, if they're paying my rate and they're willing to pay a little bit more, and I have enough clients coming in and they want a Dolby Atmos mix and it makes sense from a business perspective, Uncle Dave is going to have a Dolby room. There's no question about it. It's no different than when I bought this console. I bought this console for one reason and for one reason, well, two reasons. One, it was really cool and it was fun and I'm having a great time and I'm learning and it's a passion project and it's a workflow. But if you think this wasn't done based on the numbers and the business component to this, of course it is. Of course it is, right? There's a certain amount of time I got to get paid back for my investment. There's a certain amount of time that a business has to at least start breaking even and turning a profit for this to make good sense, or you don't stay in business, right? I did that with this, and it's so far it has worked out just like I hoped it would. But I ran the numbers, I did the analysis, and it made sense, both from a really, really cool, let's have fun standpoint, but also, can this expand your business? And can this grow into something more over time? And it has. The same thing will happen with Dolby. If I get asked to do it, and there's enough people that ask me to do it, and people are willing to pay for it, Uncle Dave will have an Atmos room at one point. And I'll be honest, I hope it eventually does that, because I think it is a cool technology. And if you've ever listened to a couple of you cats say you've heard some real Dolby mixes before and you were pretty impressed, it is impressive and it would be cool. Let's hope that it becomes the standard and it actually makes sense for me to make that kind of investment, because it's not cheap. I hope it does. I hope it does. And David says, I'm all in the box and at the moment not a Grammy nominated engineer. Oh yeah, you mix for $75. Well, there you go. So you're working up towards it, and not yet a Grammy nominated, but maybe one day you will be. I wish you luck and hope you are. And let me tell you something. If you're really a Grammy nominated engineer, or when you become one, do yourself a favor. Don't charge $75. Charge $475, because you'd be worth every penny of that. Right? But if you're working towards that, you're starting out, and you're trying to gain some traction, and you're improving your skills and getting your clients, you start off at a lower rate. We all did. I mixed stuff for free when I first started. But don't be the cheap guy on the block forever, because you deserve more, because I'm sure you're very talented. Okay, TYM Production. Hey Dave, hey, will you review the Cali Audio in UNF? I heard it's some good things about it. I've never heard of it. What is it? I know Cali Audio, they make speakers, affordable speakers that supposedly sound pretty good. I had a pair of them, I didn't like them. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't like them. I was comparing them to a $5,000 pair of Focals. That's not a fair comparison. The speakers were $300. For $300, they were really good speakers. But I've never heard of the INUNF. What is it? What is it? Dave, learning to mix in Atmos was nerve-wracking. Oh my goodness. Setting up the room was painful. About 33 grand in a year built almost killed me, but the labels kept asking me about it early last year. Great. If you're working with labels and that's your business model, you need to do it. And good for you. And again, here's a guy that said he did it. 33 grand in a year of his life, and it almost killed him, and it was nerve-wracking to do it. But he did it because you're in a situation where you work with labels, it sounds like, and it's a requirement of your business. And that's exactly why all these big studios are doing it, because they feel like they see the writing on the wall, and they think it's different than what 5.1 was. And so I get you, man. And like I said, it may happen to me at one point. It may happen sooner than I think. I don't think so, and I hope not, but it might. But congratulations on that and getting through it. And I hope you're making good money with it, and you can see that maybe, you know, your $33,000 investment, hopefully over, you know, a year or 2 years at the very most, hopefully you'll make all that money back in extra revenue that you gain from mixing in Atmos. And if you do, let us know, because I'd be interested in it from a business perspective, right? Because again, if I'm charging $450 to do a mix in stereo and people are paying me that, how much longer is it going to take me to do an Atmos mix? How much more can I charge for that? And then it's just simple math, right? How many mixes do I have to do? How big is the investment? How long is it going to take to get paid back? It can't be 10 years. A couple of years maybe. Maybe it pays itself back even faster than that. And that would be wonderful. If that were the case and if the numbers were really there, Uncle Dave would be out there tomorrow dropping a credit card on that money to set this room up, if that were the case. And one day maybe it will be. Braxel says, sorry, I didn't see you were live. That's okay, Braxel. You can always watch the replay. Good to have you, as always. Digital Space says, hey, Digital Space, how are you, my friend? I have this feeling a lot of the Atmos support is coming from the big businesses who would like to regain control of music releases by requiring mixes to be Atmos compliant. It's an excellent point. And they're winning right now. You know why they're winning right now? I'm going to tell you. What have we been doing for the last 45 minutes? What have we been talking about? Exactly what they want us talking about. Atmos. You talk about this stuff long enough, it becomes part of the social fabric in the music business. So part of this is they're throwing tons of marketing money at this. Getting lots of YouTubers. And not just the big names. I'm talking about YouTubers that work out of home studios, that have large YouTube channels. And they're helping, let's just say helping, let's not say giving, because that may not all be true, but at least helping getting these guys on board. Why are these getting these guys on board? Makes sense for them. It's real simple. Because if you have a YouTube channel with 150,000 subscribers and every video you put out in the first week gets 10 to 20,000 views and it continues because it's evergreen content, what does that mean? They want those YouTubers talking about Atmos because they're going to get all the consumers, oh, I need to have my mix in Atmos. And all the artists, oh, I got to have an Atmos mix. And all the home studios, I got to have my Atmos gear. And then idiots like me on live streams talking to all you guys about what? About Atmos. That's why I think it's here to stay. Because if the money is, if there's a huge financial backing in all of this, it's only a matter of time. And I agree with what you're saying, Digital Space. I agree with you, brother. Let's see, but I meant when going out for mastering for Atmos, it was twice the amount on top of mixing in Atmos. Oh, really? See, now that's interesting. So you're saying that the mastering cost to master an Atmos mix was 2 times the amount of mixing it in Atmos? Huh. See, again, I didn't even think about the whole mastering end of this. That's another component to this, isn't it? Right? Professional mastering engineers have to be able to deal with an Atmos file. They got to have the same room. That's interesting. That's interesting, man. It's interesting. Not happy about that, about what you just said, but it's interesting info. And it sounds like you're in it, so you know something about it, more so than me. Braxel says, I'm missing your Atmos talk. I bought Cubase 12. Oh, great. Yeah, that's right. You were considering Cubase for Studio One after the end of the last talk. Deciding factor for me is that you can mix on Atmos. Great. Can you use headphones? Which ones to buy? Yeah, I was saying earlier, after that stream, I have Cubase 12. I did an Atmos rough mix in Atmos on headphones, and I'll tell you what, I wasn't impressed, not even a little. So, which headphones did I use? I just used my regular Neumann headphones, but I had 2 or 3 pairs of headphones. The headphone in and of itself, I don't know that it matters. But I watched a couple of videos by a couple of large Cubase channels that showed how to set it up and do all the stuff in Atmos. And I'll say Cubase did a really nice job integrating all of the plugin and the software piece of it. I gotta say, it's beautiful. I mean, it really does work really well as far as it's streamlined. So Cubase is a wonderful program. I think we talked about that last time. But I did that. I brought stem files in, not stems, audio files, a raw session. It was a small session, 20 channels, 25 channels. And I went through and did the objects and moved things around and panned it. And I was listening to it, all in binaural. Wasn't impressed even a little. I said, this is what it all is. Because after our last conversation, because you guys were asking me about this stuff, and I'm like, I really don't know anything about it other than I don't think it's a big deal. So I started to learn, so I could come back and report to you guys what I've learned. And what I've learned is I'm not impressed with it so far. I didn't do anything wrong. I followed the videos. I kind of get what they're doing in the headphones, but it's not really impressive to me. And then I've done some research, as we've been talking about today, listening to different podcasts and stuff, and listening to the guys that actually do this stuff, that are at the forefront of this stuff, and just getting their opinions and their thoughts. And it's an interesting topic. Let's see, in 5 years, AI will do it all for you. That's another, you're probably right. Well, there you go. You give it to AI, and AI will just, in 45 seconds, give you something back that sounds amazing. Man, let's hope not, because if that's really the case, then you can forget it. You won't even get $75 a mix. We'll all be out of business if that happens. Man, but it wouldn't surprise me, man. It wouldn't surprise me. Let's see, what about us that have 12 by 12 rooms? How can we get all those speakers into an Atmos mix? Well, you can. You can. So I think Atmos standard is a couple different speaker configurations, but what is it, 714 or 914, right? You can do it. I've seen there, go on YouTube and search, there are already small bedroom producers, engineers that have Atmos. They put all the speakers in their room and they show you how they did it. It can be done. You know, it's not real fancy, it's not real high tech, it's a little crude, but they say it works. And they're mixing in Atmos. What kind of productions are they turning out? I have no idea, because I haven't seen a channel yet in an environment like that that gives you, that gives you a file and said, listen to the great work I've done. So I don't know. And even if he did or she did, how would I be able to listen to it unless I brought it to a room that was set up? But you can do it. You could put the speakers in. It'd be tight, but you could put the speakers in. Let's see. I don't think this is headphones we need to be worried about. Hell, the Atmos stereo cut down sounds like garbage for the time being. However, I believe the fight against the vehicle. Oh yeah, it's a fight against vehicle audio. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it will get better, man. I think it will. It will. Braxel says that you bought a Rev Amp LED sign. Oh, you bought a Rev Amp LED sign I bought. It's so nice. Good, man. Congratulations. Oh, yeah. Oh, you talking about, yeah, Ray, folks in their car, a lot of streaming. Well, that's the one area that you might be able, Dolby may have a shot, is in the car. Because you could put, a lot of new cars today are all coming out with Atmos systems in the cars too. I think in Teslas and stuff. Again, we're talking a little higher end cars, not the average Joe's car. But you know what? I remember, I don't know how many years ago now, but I remember when satellite radio, when Sirius and XM and all that first happened, probably what, 15, 20 years ago by this point, maybe a little less than that. And I remember when people said, nobody will pay for satellite radio. No, that's not, you're not going to be in new cars. You can't buy a new car today without Sirius XM in it. And, you know, so I think it's like anything. I think eventually it will be something, and in the car you could have enough speakers around you in the car to where you can experience that. It's a good point. Because your head, as the driver, and they'll tune it to the driver, my guess is the driver, your head's always in the same space, it's in the same seat. So therefore you could get that stuff all time aligned and stuff, I would think. I don't know. John 415, hey John. Are you selling your SSL Fusion? Well, did you watch the video that I posted yesterday? You must have. It's in the rack still, I haven't taken it out. I'm still under consideration. More than likely though, more than likely. Can you talk a little bit about the SPL Big? Yeah, I've used it now on 3 or 4 mixes. It sounds fantastic. I did a video for it. It goes live in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's already been done. It's great. For $500, it's a great box. It really is. That was kind of the last nail in the coffin, I think, for me with the Fusion. One of the reasons why I got the Fusion originally wasn't for the vintage drive, because you can get that anywhere. It was really for the stereo imager in hardware form, because I don't like them in plugins. And this thing blows that thing away from the stereo imaging piece of it. The SPL does. It's a great box. It really is. Lauren says, thanks for your reviews for the Audioscape. And the Wes Audio Dion, they sound great. I also picked up a Wes Audio, this thing, Palmaris. Still can't say it right. As well as it sounds great as well. We're going to be doing a video review on this soon. I have one. Got to send it back. I don't get to keep it, but I have one. So I'm glad you like it. I love Wes Audio stuff, and I love the Audioscape stuff, as you guys know. Stuff's really good. The VA3A is awesome. Daniel says, can you give your opinion on Golden Age Project Gear? I've never used it, but I have a couple of colleagues of mine that have some of their stuff, and has always said good things about them. They're affordable gear, and they're supposedly really good for the money. Having said that, I've never used it myself. But I wouldn't be against trying it, and I've heard enough good things that if you wanted to try a piece for the money, it's probably a pretty good gamble, I would think. You're probably not going to be disappointed based on what I've heard. I haven't ever heard anything bad about their stuff. Robbie Rob, Dave, another question. Studio 1.6 now has aux channels. Yes, honestly, I don't have a clue for what. Some special routing, recording, thanks. I don't use them. Because to me, the aux channel and the bus channel is kind of the same thing, which is also the same thing as their effects channel. They have effects channel, FX, a bus channel, an aux channel. And the difference between the bus channel and the effects channel is nothing as far as I can tell. It used to be in Studio 1.5, the effects channel did not give you the ability to use a send. In other words, if you put a reverb on an effects channel, you could not send that effects channel to another channel. But that's been corrected in Studio 1.6. That's why I would always use bus channels, because bus channels has a send option available to you. But now the effects channel has a send just like the bus channel. So I'm not clear on what the difference is. And I believe the aux channel does as well. So I don't really know why you need to have all three. I'm sure someone that uses them can tell us, but I don't use them, because I've never had a reason to use them, and now that I have a console, I definitely don't use them. Maybe in their user manual, they can tell you what little subtle differences there are, but I don't know what it is, to be honest. Let's see, Eagles Rage. I wouldn't even think about mixing for $75, especially since I've taken the time to go to audio school at Full Sail. Oh, good for you, man. And managed to acquire a decent amount of equipment with certifications. Yeah, well, you know, again, I hear you, and you put your time and effort into that, and so you got to get that ROI, right? That payback and all that investment in time and training and school tuition and all of that. But there's lots of people that didn't go that route, that are just starting out, that they're willing to work for anything just to get some experience and to get their feet wet. I understand that. But I don't know. It's just, you know, again, there's many ways to skin a cat. I just think if you're starting out and you want to charge a low rate to get yourself some exposure, to get yourself some first clients, and to get yourself known and get yourself some practice under your belt, that's fine. But I would say stay at that rate for the least amount of time humanly possible. And I don't care if you go from 75 to 85, from 85 to 110 or 110. If you're working at $75 a mix, and I know people that do it for less than that, 75. Again, I'm not saying that those guys all turn out world-class mixes. A lot of them don't, but some of them might. But if you're turning out really good mixes, competitive mixes, you want to raise your rate faster, because not only will you make more money and work less hours, but like I said, you know, you're also helping. You're helping all of us, you know? You're not, what I hate to see is I don't want to see this craft become a race to the bottom, you know? If everyone's, you know, it's like any profession, right? Right? It's like any profession. This is a profession. And so, yes, I hear what you say, the Eagles rage, because you've invested time and money and skin in the game, and now you got to get paid back for skin in the game. And you should. So all I tell people, and again, when I started off, I was never the cheap guy on the block. But when I started off, I did work for free. I went out and found artists that I liked in my local area, and I offered to do some work for free. Like, in other words, I would go see a band, an original band in my hometown, really good band, and I'd say, okay, I want to get some exposure. So I would introduce myself to the band, to develop a relationship, and maybe I'd say, hey, you know, let me record. At that time, I was a recording engineer. You know, I'm going to give you a half a day in my studio for free. Let's record one song. I'll record and mix your song for free. Give me a chance. If you like what I do for you, when you're going to do your next record, you're going to come back. You'll come back, and then maybe we'll work at a lower price, and then over time we develop a relationship, and I can increase my rates. That was a way for me to get exposure, and it worked wonders for me at the beginning of my career. I'm not against that. What I'm against is staying at that level forever and you trying to undercut everybody else in this business just to make a quick buck. That's the thing that pisses me off, because I don't think that's fair to the people who have put the time and the skin in the game, and it's also not fair to yourself if you're truly good at what you do. If you're truly good at what you do. So I think there is a time and a place to do that, but don't do it forever. Again, it's just my opinion. You could do whatever you want, but I could tell you, perfect example. When I was mixing all in the box for people, my rates were cheaper. When I went to this, my rates doubled. There's an investment sitting here I got to get paid for. And people pay me that because they know I can give them something off this equipment that not everybody can give them in the box. There's some uniqueness to it. You know, and so I charge more for it, and people pay it. Do I mix as many clients as I would have in the box at half the price? Of course not. I don't want to mix the most amount of clients. I want to mix good quality clients that have the money to invest into their craft. It's just like anything else. And so I'm not mixing for $200 a song. My rate is $450 a track, and that's non-negotiable unless we mix multiple songs together. Like if I do a full length for somebody, it's not $450 a track, maybe it's $350 a track. If we're working on multiple projects, multiple job or songs together, there's some wiggle room in there. But for a single, it's $450 is where it starts, and it goes up depending on how big your session is. And people pay it. But I also can deliver the goods because I put the time, the effort, and the training in for 20 years of this craft. And so start small, work your way up as quickly as you can, and it's all based on your skills. Okay, Chris. Hey, Chris, how are you? Don't sell your Fusion. You're one of a few people who have said that to me, Chris. You can take it off the master bus and still process it on other tracks. Yeah, I know, I hear you. The hidden compressor is great for parallel unit, just sounds amazing. Yep, you're not the first one to say that to me, believe me, I hear you. It's why it's still in the rack. It's not 100%, it's gotta go yet. Because I do have enough room, because I have that top section over there we talked about earlier, where I could keep the Fusion, put the 500, I have room for everything I have. I don't need to sell it to gain room. I would only sell it if I wasn't using it and I didn't feel I had a use for it. Doesn't mean I shouldn't try it on other things. I hear what you're saying though. Let's see, Nappy Soldier, Neuropunk, drum and bass producer. I love the name, man. Jazz would sound more nightclub, live EDM. Some work with killer on reverb, sidechain, and layered bass leads. Okay. Oh, hey Daniel, I talked about the Golden Age stuff. Did you step away from the chat? I said I've never worked with it. I don't know anything about it other than I have a couple of colleagues that use it and say good things about it, but I've never used any of their stuff. I thought I answered that a little earlier. Maybe you missed it. TYM Production is saying that the INUNF is a speaker set for smaller studios. Oh, okay. For example, if you have a home studio or in a small room and have neighbors, you have to think about it would be a great solution. Speakers are near field. Oh, do you mean for like Atmos? Oh, that's cool. I've never heard of that. See, again, I'm sure there's new stuff out there. Braxel says, hey Dave, do you like Audio's headphones? I've never used them. I know they're super expensive and I know they got a great reputation. Those are the big bulky things that I see people wearing that makes you look kind of funny. I'm sure they're great, but I've never used them. But don't think you need those to mix Dolby Atmos. Don't make that mistake. Don't think it's the expense of the headphone is going to make the difference. It's not. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have a good set of headphones if you're going to mix on headphones. You should. Do you need to spend, I think those things are $2,000 maybe? And they're up there, maybe more. But I have not used them. But I've heard good, I know people that have them. I've seen people on YouTube use them, pro-level engineers. They say good things about them. Cubase Uendo will save you $8,500 just in its monitor controller money. Okay, you can just get the speakers and an audio card to do the controller features like time alignment and correction in Cubase. Okay, I'm not aware of that. That's new information for me. You can get an audio card to do all the controller features. Okay, how much is the audio card? Again, you're probably, if you must have researched this, you're probably right. Maybe you don't need the big box monitor controller like I'm thinking. Like the Trinoff makes a Dolby box similar to what I have for Dolby, and it's $10,000. So okay, that's good information. I'll have to research that, and I'll get back to you guys on the next stream and see if I find anything more about this stuff. Because I'm going to continue to keep my eyeball on this stuff because I know you guys like talking about it, and I like learning as well. But that's good information. And you're saying Cubase has the most advanced monitoring setups of all the DAWs. I'm not surprised to hear that. From what I've heard so far, that is true. But again, all the DAWs are going to catch up to them. They will. But Cubase is a great program. Scuffs on Beans. Love the name. Why does music need to be Atmos? Bands don't play music standing in a circle when the audience is in the center. It's a good point. So what you're saying is, look, you're watching a band on stage, it's left to right, it's stereo. They don't stand in a circle. They don't, it makes sense. I don't know, but if you've heard a real Dolby mix in a right room, it is kind of a weird experience. But I hear you. It's a good point. Hey Dave, will you be selling your SSL Fusion to get a 500 series rack? You missed the whole front end of the broadcast, brother. You need to go back and do the replay. Let me show you a couple other pieces of gear because I forgot. The answer is yes. Here's the 500 rack right here. You can go back and watch the beginning of the broadcast. I talked about it. 3 more pieces of gear I want to show you, 2 of which are going to go inside the 500 rack. So I said if I get a 500 rack, I did. I'm not just gonna load it up with a bunch of compressors and generic stuff. There's some specialty things I'd like to have or add to my collection that are useful tools. One of them is another de-esser. So I have the SPL de-esser, which is the better than any plugin I've ever used. Fantastic de-esser. I use it on every single mix. But I picked up another one of those de-essers, and this time I wanted to try the DBX 520. Don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. Okay, there we go. And the reason why I picked this up is these things, again, are cheap. They're $220 on Sweetwater. And about a year ago, Slate Digital put out the plug-in version of this, and the plug-in was really good. One of the better de-esser plugins I've ever used. My SPL de-esser is better than that, and I'm interested to know what this sounds like, how this works compared to the SPL. Let me go this way. So I got that. Because I hope this works well. This is half the price of the other one, and I'd like to have a couple of pairs of these. There's lots of times, lead vocals, background vocals, I'd like to have these de-essers. Also, a pair of de-essers like this could be great on things like the high frequency compressor and the SSL Fusion that I don't need anymore. Real harsh splashy cymbals, a de-esser is a great trick for that. So I got that. The other thing I got was, I have two of these, one of them is still in the box, but another useful tool that I don't need all the time, but I have used it, I have needed it a couple of times and the plugins don't quite impress me, is a transient designer. So SPL has a 500 series transient designer. Whoop, there we go. So I got two of these. They're going to this new rack. I want to try that. You know, kick snare might be kind of cool. And then the last piece of gear I talked about last stream, I think. I didn't buy this. I had a deal worked out with our buddy David S.J., who was here a little while ago. I don't know if he's still here. He was getting rid of his DBX 160A. This is the DBX 160 that we did on the channel. Stock unit. We compared it to my two DBX 160s modified by Revive Audio. I use those all the time now, and he was getting rid of his. He was going to sell it. I had a pair of little small mix cube speakers, the Avatones that he wanted, so we just did a swap. I shipped him the speakers. He shipped me the DBX. Thank you very much, Dave. Going to be using this. So that's the new gear for the program today. So we got a bunch of new toys, and again, there'll be videos on all of them at one point or another. Let's see, let me get back to more questions here. Braxel said, oops, sorry, Braxel, did you do that? Yep, oh yeah, you said you should get the Neve Portico too. You just got the trim off, and that was, yeah, well, yeah. I hear you, but I get this, yeah, the trade-off was pricey, and I just got through paying for it. I just paid it off last week. And so before, I go spend another $5,000 on something, I need to take a little bit of a break. Popular belief is Uncle Dave has just got money flowing out of his ears. That's not true. Like I said, I'm working down here. I don't charge $75. I got to pay for all this stuff. So I would love to try a Neve Portico too. Trust me. It's one of the things, there's 2 pieces of gear, 3 pieces of gear that I would love to try, that as soon as I get an opportunity, I will. The API 2500 bus compressor, the Neve 33609, and the Neve Portico 2. I would love to try all 3 of those pieces. And I'm sure if I had the Neve in here, I would probably not let it go back because I'd want to keep it, which is one of the reasons why it's not here yet. But at one point, I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to try one. So, I hear you though, man. Hey Dave, do you use your 1176 in stereo or mainly on mono sources? Well, an 1176 is a mono unit, but I have multiple of them. Have I used them in stereo before? I don't think I've used them on a stereo bus or a pair of anything quite yet. I think it's always been mono. Yeah, I think so. Not that I wouldn't, it's that I have a lot of stereo compressors that I've used in its place. Super Fox, say Super Fox, I think within the next 2 years, every DAW will have a version of Atmos rendering like Cubase. I would agree with you. Pro Tools has it. Logic, I believe, has it. Cubase has it. Studio One does not have it yet, but it will. I would agree with you. And like I said, I have not done the Pro Tools one or the Logic experience yet, but I did try it in Cubase and it is integrated beautifully. They did a nice job with it. Not impressed with the sound, like I said, but the functionality of it and the ease of use, they did a nice job. Steinberg did a nice job with that. They did. They did. Okay, Mathis says, so what do you think about the Trinoff Nova that comes out soon? It's the new ST2 Pro. I've only just heard a little bit about it. I have, I'm in contact with one of the lead marketing folks over there, and he's an engineer as well. He's gonna be on, we're gonna do after NAMM, when he gets back from NAMM, we're supposed to do a video together where we're gonna talk about the Trinoff, the app, and get more deep dive like I talked about in the other videos. And they told me that this was coming out and I gotta talk to him about that. We're gonna talk about that. I don't know much about it. I don't know what's different between that and the ST2 Pro, but I've already talked to them about, hey man, I just bought this thing and I've done more videos on the Trinoff, independent videos than anybody has. What is this new unit that's replacing my unit? How is it different? And then if it's different enough and worth it, can I do a buyback and an upgrade? Maybe I would, but I don't know anything about it. I have to talk to Antoine, my good buddy over there, who's helped me a lot. And you'll see him on the channel soon. But I don't know anything about it yet. David says, I'm still up and coming and currently in the audio tech mastering program. Awesome, man, good for you. So for me, $75 makes sense right now, and it's only a transitional price point. There you go, man, and you got a plan. And I totally support that plan. That's different than some of these cats I see on some of these websites that have been mixing for years at that price point to undercut everybody. That's different. So if you're in the master's program and you're working on your skill set and it's a transitionary to get your feet wet, then you're doing it the right way. And I wish you nothing but luck. And I hope one day, not too far from now, you're charging $1,000 a mix and getting it. Because that would be good for you and it'd be good for all of us. At the beginning of my career, I did $25 an hour in a home studio in 1993. Great. End of my career in 2020 at $75 an hour, mid-level pro studio, cool. It all depends on what you've done, but $75 is too low. $75 long is too low. Right, but again, I hear you, but you started at 25, you tripled your rate inside of, what, 17 years? But it all, yeah, well, again, it depends on what you're doing. We were talking about $75 as a mixing engineer. Again, if you're recording, if you have a studio, you have clients coming in, I mean, all that stuff is really dictates what you're going to charge. And it's supply and demand, right? Supply and demand. So if you're in an area and you're working with people and you have more supply than demand, your prices are going to be lower. You have more demand than supply, your prices can be higher, as long as your work and the quality of your work matches that increase. And so, yeah, it all depends where you're starting, but everyone should have a plan. Francisco, how are you? Do you think I should go to college for music engineering? Oh, that totally depends. I did a podcast on home recording made easy about a year ago. It's still on the website talking about this topic. Should you go to school for music engineering? I know people that have gone to school for music engineering. Some of them have done very well. Some of them have not done very well. I've worked with people in my past who had formal training that weren't very good at what they did. And I know other people that were exceptional at what they did. And then I know more people like myself that didn't go to a formal school, but spent time on the job training and was trained one-on-one privately by engineers. So I really think it depends on, number one, where do you want to go? What is it going to cost you? Again, investment in your craft. And what part of music engineering are you talking about? You know, there's everything from working in the music into TV and film. There's a wide variety inside this music industry. I will say the one good thing about going to formal training into a school, aside from the curriculum, which is a major advantage that you would have, is the networking. And being and rubbing elbows and shaking hands and talking to people who instructors and guest people that come into those schools to help teach students, that networking possibility is, you can't put a price on that. That's something that someone going to one of those schools, if they're savvy, has an advantage over other people who don't go to that school. The other advantage to going to formal training is you would have, depending on the school, like Full Sail, for example. Someone here tonight said they went to Full Sail. You have access to gear and equipment and to resources that you couldn't have access to otherwise. And that is all valuable. But it also depends on what does that cost and what are ultimately your goals. Do I think it's a bad thing? No, I would never say it's a bad thing. Is it a necessity to have a career in the music industry? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because I'm sitting proof of that, and I know many engineers that are. But I would never say don't go because it won't help you. It can't hurt you. It could only help you, but it depends on what you want to do and what your goals are. And what it costs and what you're willing to spend. But good question. Does the Origin have an LCM that could replace the Fusion? I know it has a talkback mic. Yeah, that's what it has. If it does, then the talkback mic is routable. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But it has a talkback mic. Yeah, no, it's not exactly the same as what the Fusion would do. It's not quite that. It's not quite that. Let's see. TYM says, I don't know how long have we been on here? A while, huh? But I'm glad you guys are having a good time. The speakers are not. Oh. The speakers are not for Atmos, or is it just normal mixing? It gives a solution when you don't want to mix only on headphones, also on speakers, but because of the circumstances, you can't. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying there. The speakers are not for Atmos, it is just for normal mixing. Oh, you're talking about that, that affordable, cool speaker system. Okay, that makes sense. I would never have thought to put a de-esser on cymbals. I'll definitely have to try that out. See, you learned something today. See, even Uncle Dave can help teach some of you more experienced guys. Yes, that's exactly what that high-frequency compressor is. Well, it's not a de-esser. It's not exactly that, but a de-esser is a compressor. That's all it is. Little different, I get it. But it's the same kind of thing. So yes, de-essers on cymbals. I used to do that with plugins. Not a lot, because he doesn't always call for it. But if you get a drum track where the cymbals, really cheap cymbals that sound very harsh, very brittle, in the overheads or in the rooms, and when you crank up the overheads in the rooms, the cymbals get too gnarly in your ears, try a de-esser. That's why I got a pair. That's why I want to have, these are $200 brand new. I'd love to have 2 or 3 pairs of these. I hope it's good. You'll know, because I'm going to tell you when we check them out. Braxel says the thing about Atmos that the average consumer will be able to afford to have it. I mean, they need to have the room and stuff to listen to. Yeah. I know you came in late, my friend. You have to go back and listen to the whole conversation. We talked about just that, and that's why I won't rehash it all now, but go back and listen. That's why I don't think it's not here yet, so to speak. Because the consumer can't listen to it on headphones and on earbuds the way it was intended. Not yet. August says, how do you feel about the Blackline Audio's Bluey versus the other 1176 unit? Totally different. I like the Blackline Audio Bluey. It sounds completely different than any other one. What is the difference? It's way more aggressive. So you can really get aggressive with it and get some nice distortion, some nice breakup, much more so than you can on another 1176. So it's a blue stripe, yes, but it's not the same as the Audioscape blue stripe. They don't even sound remotely close. Dave and I tried to do a video on that, and when we were setting up the video off camera to try to get the compressor settings and stuff, we couldn't get them. They don't sound even close to each other. So it's not a compressor that I use on everything all the time, but when I do use it, it really does something cool to the audio. And for the price of it, it's really worth checking out. And now they make a 500 series unit of that Bluey. David S.J. has one. He's supposed to bring it up one of these weekends, and we're supposed to compare it to this. He has one. So it'll be interesting. But it's cool, though. It does something different than any other 1176 I've ever listened to. Oh, okay. You're talking about the sound bars and some of the gear are already Atmos capable or do their own version of Atmos. Yep. Yep. You're right. No to your answer. Question YouTube. YouTube is your school. Learn to network and be a good, likable person. It will take you further in music. Yeah, that's true. That's true, but it takes longer. And again, going to school, you may have a little bit more of a fast track. But again, I mean, I didn't go to audio school. Would I've liked that experience in hindsight? Maybe. I think the experience would be really cool. I wouldn't tell people don't go. All I say, like I said earlier, it's not a necessity to go, to have a career and be successful in the music industry. It is not. But it wouldn't hurt you to go if, again, you had the means, the time, and if it's something you wanted to experience. I don't think it would be a waste of your time. It all depends on the cost, too. Okay. Oh, you're talking to Eagles Rage. Okay. I'll let you guys chat about that, as I've probably already answered that question. Okay, I hate to say it, but if you move to an area in high music production, LA, New York City, Miami, Nashville, if you want a good career in music. Well, yes, I have lots of friends and colleagues that live in Nashville and LA. And if you want to be in the heart of the music scene, that's where you want to be. Does that mean you can't have a good music career? You can't have a good career in music without being in those locations? No, I don't live in those locations. And I do very well in the music industry. But if you really want to be in the heart of it all, yeah. And some people would say, how bad do you want to be there? Will you have more opportunities, meet more people, better networking opportunities if you live in those areas? Well, of course you would. Of course you would. Of course you would. Did you see that the Ampan announced the new active 3-way monitor that seems really amazing? I did not. I did not see that. No, I did not. I'll have to check that out. Oops, sorry. Stefan says, hi Stefan. In regards to the school question, what age would you see as too old to start working professionally in mixing music? Well, what do you mean start working professionally? You mean a full-time career? Making full-time career money? How old is, there's no such thing as too old. No such thing. It depends on what you consider professionally. Because if someone charges $50 to mix a song, as soon as the money exchanges hands, technically you're a professional. Right? So I guess it depends on your definition of professionally. And too old, I don't say there's anything too old. I don't think there's such a thing. Now, if you're starting from zero and you don't have the skills and you're learning the craft, it's just like, here's the analogy, I use this a lot, but I believe it to be a very one-to-one comparison. How old is too old to say you want to start being a professional guitar player? Well, what do you mean by professional guitar player? Going out and playing gigs on the weekends and getting paid? That's professional. Or do you mean being a session guitarist that are being called to play on record label artist records? That's a different level of professionalism. Do you know how to play guitar already? Or are you starting first time picking up the guitar in your hands? How much time too old is where are you in that path, in that journey? and how much time are you willing to devote to it to get to the level of professionalism that you want to get to. But I wouldn't say there's any such thing as too old. I would just say it all depends on everything I just mentioned. So if you're in your 40s and you're saying, you know what, I'm in my 40s, I want to start a new career. Can I make a career in the mixing music? Sure you could. How much money will you make? It really depends on a lot of factors. How long will it take? It depends on a lot of factors. Dave, do you know if Audioscape ever sells one rack Space Unit DA3A? Yes, they do. I have two of them. I have a pair of them. They do sell them. I know they're coming out with something to replace that in a full rack. I don't know if that's going to be a product that's going to continue down the road. I don't know. I haven't spoken to them about that. But to my knowledge, you can still buy one. But again, as everything with Audioscape, they build everything in small batches. So maybe that's just not up in the rotation of things to be built. I'm not sure. When is David coming to your place to do some videos? Soon. We just spoke the night before last. And yeah, he's got a lot going on at work right now. He has a real job too. And he's in the middle of a big project there. And so he's burning the candle at both ends for the last few weeks and probably for the next few weeks. But it sounds like beginning of May is when he feels his schedule is going to lighten up a little bit. And yeah, we've been talking and he is coming back. We're going to do the big rack rebuild. We're going to do videos together. So he's coming back. But right now he's got to work his real job. But he's looking forward to it. I know he's been busy and he wants to get out here and we're working through it. I engineer 24/7. Cool name, man. Price starts all with the way you present yourself as a pro. Having high standards behind your good prices and people will support it. Some don't work for the prices, but they have, and some do. Oh yeah, it's very, very, very good point. Yep. It's more than just the quality of work. It's the soft skills. It's your professionalism, how well you deal with clients. There's a lot that goes into it. I know. You're absolutely 100% correct. You have to be easy to work with. You have to be professional. You have to be able to deliver on time. You have to be able to, when you say you're going to do something, do it. You have to be able to satisfy the customer needs and demands and produce a high quality level of work. And if you do all of those things, you are going to be able to charge a higher price and be in higher demand than people who don't do all those things. It's no different than any other profession, right? No difference. So you're absolutely correct. Very good point. I was watching a video a while back and someone said when you mix through headphones, the mix will be more wide compared to you mix through speakers. No. Whoever said that, either there's more to it than that or that person doesn't know what they're talking about. That's not true. That's not true. And what's my take on that? My take on that is that statement in and of itself, without all the other context around the video that you might have watched, isn't true. Your mixes won't sound wider, won't sound wider on headphones just because you mix them on headphones. It's a way to check, but I don't mix on headphones. I mix in monitors, and my mix are very wide. In a lot of engineers. But headphones are a good way to check these things. Checking on multiple sources, and headphones is one of them. Will says, hi there, what happened to your SSL UFA? Oh man, you must not have been around for a while, my friend. The UFA's been gone for over a year. Love the UFA, had it in the center section. Reason why I got rid of it, be honest with you, I didn't use it. I was using it for transport control more than anything. I didn't really use it the way I thought I was originally going to use it when we first started the SSL and all the early videos. You probably heard us talk about, me and David, about how we thought we were going to get a lot more use out of that, and I found I really didn't use it. So I got rid of it. When you start having hearing issues is when you should start saying you're done with a pro music career. Yeah, hearing, well, your ears are everything in this business, right? This is why I tell people, if you're a mixer, mix at low volumes, because you will kill your hearing over time if you don't. Price all starts with the, did I just see that? Oh, sorry, did I already read that question? I'm sorry. Or maybe you posted it twice, my bad, iEngineer. The downside to moving to a music hotspot like Nashville is literally everyone is a producer, engineer, artist, etc. The competition to make your mark is high. Having a pool of talent is a plus. Yeah, well, there's pros and cons. You know, that's one of the downsides is that you have a lot of competition. One of the upsides is you have a lot more demands. And again, what a lot of people don't realize, in order to be in this business long term, there is nothing more valuable than being in with networking, in relationships. Now you can do that today with the advent of the interwebs, and you don't have to be in Nashville to have great relationships and great networks. I have great relationships and great networks with lots of people in both Nashville and in LA. And I've gotten some work that way over the years. But being in it, physically in it, there's an advantage to that, but there are some disadvantages as well. But you get to meet a lot of people. You get to, you know, if you're good at networking and you're a good person and you're all the things we talked about earlier, you get opportunities presented to yourself when you're physically there, maybe more so than if you're not. So everything's got pros and cons. But yes, if you're not there, you don't have as much competition. But when you're there, you could have a lot more opportunity. How many analog compressors do you think a home studio needs? Oh, it all depends. I mean, I didn't count them. At one time I counted them. I think we had like 40 channels of compression between mono and stereo. That's a lot. I only have a 32 channel board. I got 40 channels of compression. It really depends. And again, needs. What do you really need if you're working analog? Stereo bus compressor, I think, is a good need. Anything beyond that, do you need it? Start small, one at a time. iEngineering says he made a typo, then that's okay. I thought I was seeing deja vu. I'm at the bottom of the list. Okay, how long have we been on here? We've been on here a long time. You guys are great. I don't even know how many people are watching. How many people are here? I don't even know. We've been on here how long? Wait a minute here. A long time. 2 hours and 30 minutes. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Time goes by when you're having fun. And we have 39 people still watching. You guys are great, man. You guys are really, really great. So I'll take a few more questions. I'll stay on 10 more minutes and that's it. Because I need to eat dinner. I'm starting to get hoarse. I've been talking all day, which is great. I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, these impromptu live streams work great. I'm afraid to schedule one because I don't think any of you will show up. I like when we just kind of get on here and it's a nice surprise. And right now I'm doing them about every 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe I'll continue to do that. As I have more information to bring you, we can have some good dialogue. I'd like to learn more about this Dolby Atmos, and we'll talk more about that because I know you guys are interested and I'm interested. And as I learn more, let's share it. Let's continue the conversation because if for no other reason, it's cool. It's part of our world, right? So we should talk about it. You love these live streams that are 2 hours. Okay. I'm glad you love it. What do you think of warm audio, especially on the 1176? I don't have any warm audio stuff. I used a couple of their compressors many years ago. I wasn't impressed with them, but it's been several years. I know from people, again, some of my contacts and colleagues that work professionally in this, that have had some warm audio. I hear conflicting things. Some people say it's the quality stuff is very spotty. Other people say they never have any issues. The only reason why I don't have anything in here is I really don't need any more stuff that they make. And so, yeah. But when I tried their 1176 and their LA2A, again, we're going back 5-6 years, I wasn't all that impressed with them. I didn't think they were really any better than the plugins at that time. So that's all I can tell you. Have you used the AAD compressor yet? I have not. No, I have not. Have I used that new soft 2-bus compressor plugin? No, I've heard about it. I haven't even seen it yet, Braxel. I got to check that out. Someone else asked me that the other day. I haven't checked out any of their stuff yet, but I know they got something coming out. Or they just put something out. What state and city am I out? I'm out of Connecticut. I'm about 40 minutes south of Hartford. And about 90 minutes from New York City. Eagle owns both the WA76 and the 1176 and love them both. There you go. I've heard that many times, and I've heard just as many people saying they don't like them and they broke down on them. They've had them fixed and this, that, and the other thing. So I think it's a mixed bag of warm audio. Some people have really good experiences with them. Some people don't. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say don't try them. I mean, for the money they make, they make gear at a very affordable price. And if you could get some good ones and you don't have any problems, then that's great, man, right? Just because the gear is affordable doesn't mean it's not any good. Because I think there's a difference between affordable and cheap. Those are two different things in my mind. Something can be made very well that's affordable, and then some stuff is just knockoffs and cheap crap that they just put a faceplate on it. And there's a very big distinction between those two things. And I think if you have luck with them, that's great. That's great. Hey, Dave, what did you buy this time? Hey, Peace Valley. Hey, Mike, how are you? Oh, you got to go back and watch the replay. I got a couple of 500 series. I got a de-esser, a transient designer, and a 500 rack. But go back and watch. We talk all about it. He loves his 260 VU. I told you were going to like that. Shall I return my WA76 for the MP77 Purple Audio? I've never used the Purple Audio either, but I do know they make really good gear from what I've been told. And the way I've been told that the Purple 76, I think that's the their 1176, right? I believe that's the one. I've been told that it sounds like a hi-fi version of a Universal Audio 1176. I've never heard it. I've just been told that. But their stuff is three times the cost of the warm audio stuff. So I would expect and suspect that it's probably better made and it's probably a better unit, but I've never tried it. What do you think about the distressor compressor from Plug-in Alliance? Plug-in Alliance. I don't know if I used their... I've used the IK Multimedia, the Universal Audio, and the Slate Digital. You know, Mike, I don't think I've used it. I got to imagine it would be at least pretty good. But I don't know that I've ever used it. It doesn't ring a bell. Dave's trying to get me out of here. Thanks, Dave. Aphex has some of the best gear that can be had for the money. Yes, I have two Aphex 204s, oral exciters with the big bottom. Best things you could put on toms. Love them. They don't make them anymore, but you can find them on Reverb cheap. All right, so we've been on here almost 3 hours, guys. I think it's time to say goodnight. But as always, you guys have been a lot of fun, a lot of great conversation. I look forward to doing this in maybe a couple more weeks. Maybe we'll try to do one or two a month. And it'll be on the weekend, typically. and we'll jump on here. And as I have more things to report, I'll certainly get back with you. And also when Dave comes up and we do the big studio re-rack wire thingy, that'll all be live streamed, and it'll just be, we'll turn the camera on and you'll get a kind of behind the scenes look at that. So that'll be cool. So again, thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much for subscribing and liking and being so cool and supportive about what I'm doing here. And I'm glad or hope that you're getting something out of all these videos. And if you are, man, right on. And we'll talk soon. Okay, guys, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Have a lovely holiday weekend. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.